we got ourselves a very explosive combat radio show today. Let me just get some of the preambles going right now. Obviously, we're going to get the thumbnail going. Oops, hold on. We're going to get the thumbnail going. Yo, Victory, my man. Do you have a notification? That's awesome that you're always the first one here. I wonder if you have a notification so we can what's my email? It's right on the description, just so you know. Okay, yeah. So yeah, just hit me up like that. He says, you know what? Before we start, yeah, I get notifications every time you go live. I'll post. Okay, I'll look. Okay, so I did post something about MMA Guru, and I think that's important to bring up. Okay, so I guess I'm. I did post something about. Okay, just wanted to make sure the audio is on. Obviously, the audio is on since you are responding to me. Want to send you a video of Nate's opponent. Okay, good. Yes. This is sort of like, in terms of warfare, intelligence gathering, right? Something I can look at, taking a look at Nate's opponent, seeing some particular holes that I may see that maybe you notice, or also we both mutually notice, or just having a different third eye in the view of things. Yes, I am more than happy to facilitate your declaration of war, against whoever Nate Davies' opponent is. Yes, absolutely. You know how it is, man. When it comes to allies, I will always be there, to ride for them. And you, my friend, are no exception in that. He says exactly. You already know. Yes, man. You know what it is? This is how you know. Look, I don't like, I don't like bragging about some things, but there are some things I'm willing to brag about, like physical or mental ability, right? Obviously, if you're of high IQ caliber, you sort of pick up things a little bit faster than, let's say, other people who are kind of slow about, what it is that people are trying to convey or what it is that people are trying to ask. Like, for example, if you were to ask some random MMA brohead, or just any random MMA fighter who or coach that may have a lower IQ, they're going to look at that and say, why does he want my email? What is this about? Or I already knew off the bat. I was like, you know what? This dude's friend has a fight going on, and they want to gather as much intelligence as they can, and as you should, because whenever you go into warfare, you must always be prepared for war at all cost. Okay, and that is one thing that you have to, understand is you have to be prepared at all times. Just like what I remembered as a kid watching Three Ninjas. Who in here is the child of the 90s that remembers watching Three Ninjas, right? What did the Japanese samurai grandpa of those sons of FBI agents, okay, by the way, that's quite a devastating combination if you think about it, right? Your grandfather is a Japanese samurai, right? And then your father is one of the top cops in the United States as a federal agent. Wow. Now obviously, look, I'm not, one of these people that praises cops or governments or anything like that, but nonetheless, it's still an accomplishment for whoever is trying to reach that feat, and it is quite an interesting background. Now, obviously, speaking of interesting backgrounds, you guys know that, well, I have a pretty interesting background myself. Obviously, I have dedicated my life to martial arts while also pursuing other things in life, right? Whether that would be education, or whether that would be military, or whether that would be religious education on the side of understanding the Islamic fiqh, the Islamic studies, the studies of the Quran, the Hadith, and then other religions and things of that nature, right? So with all of those combinations in mind, I am able to give you guys a pretty interesting show that sort of delves into different topics. Now, with this particular topic that we're going to talk about today, oh, wait, let me read this comment right here. He says, I just watched that with the kids a couple of months ago. Oh, okay. Oh, Three Ninjas. Yes. Okay. Very good. Okay. Very good. Yes. Yes. Very classic movie from back in the day. Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily. You guys know and remember the vibes. Okay. So the topic that we're going to talk about today sort of delves into the psychology of Akash Singh and that of Mr. Ian Garry, because I see particular similarities between them. Now, look, not only with similarities, the other things that I had noticed about Ian Garry and Akash is that they both come from, well, very inexperienced places. Let's be honest about that. You take a look at Akash and you think to yourself, man, you know what? This kid was sheltered, grew up in a middle-class family, just like Ian Garry, growing up in a middle-class family. So quite frankly, they really don't understand things about women, about girls. And guess what? Unfortunately, many of my brothers in the Dagestani and the Arab Gulf communities that have grown up in Saudi Arabia, Emirates, Jordan, etc., they also don't understand women the way, let's say, Western men do, and in particular, Western men that come from urban culture. And let me explain why I'm saying it like that, right? Obviously, this is not just tied to just the urban culture. You can also add the white country folks, the trailer folks, which sort of entails the same description of that of people that come from, quote unquote, a ghetto background. But they understand women from a very early age because of their access to them. And you've seen how teen pregnancies is very prevalent in that of, let's say, the urban community. Okay? So with that in mind, you understand that people who are sheltered are not going to have that same experience. Okay? Now, let me explain something about Ian Garry for a second, okay? And I'm going to get to you guys' comments. I'm just trying to cook for a second just so we can build off of the topics and conversations with the show, but I will get to your comments. So Ian Garry comes from a middle-class background in Ireland, okay? And by the way, their parents are very liberal because guess what? The majority of the Irish that have an education, that are, let's say, engineers, such as John Kavanagh, the coach of Conor McGregor. Did you know this guy went to Boston Dynamics to learn how to build robots? That is how smart John Kavanagh is. But just like John Kavanagh, he also comes from that background in Ireland that is of, let's say, a middle-class setting. Very different from, let's say, Conor McGregor, who comes from the hood of Ireland. That is why he's tied in with all those Irish cartel guys. He's tied in with them. So he absolutely lives a contrasting background to that of Mr. Ian Garry. So as a result of those contrasting backgrounds, they have a different dynamic in how they're going to pick their women. And Akash, in the same light, is going to have that same problem. And look, I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of dudes that come from the tribe of Akash Singh, right? A lot of these guys, unfortunately, they are, well, unfortunately, very misguided in how to choose their life partners, per se. And sometimes they are so lazy with it, they just literally wait for their parents to do that for them. Okay? And when they wait for their parents to do that for them, guess what? They don't understand how to decipher them. They don't understand how to break them down. They don't understand how to, look for the signs of danger. Look for the red flags, right? Now, with Ian Garry, is it such a red flag of what he has going on? Well, I tell you what, I'm here to say that his case is not as severe as Akash Singh. And look, guys, I don't need to give you guys some gruesome details. Look, this is a Muslim-friendly podcast, so I don't need to tell you what's going on with Akash Singh or what people are saying about Ian Garry and the C word that they throw at him. And I ain't talking crip when I say C word. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? I don't need to, explain all of these insane, details. I'd rather just go cryptic with it. And for those that have intelligence, know exactly what I'm talking about when we're talking about this type of deviancy. Okay? All right, so let me read some of these comments as I just cooked there. So Victory says, okay, just watch that with a couple of weeks ago with the kids. That's the Three Ninjas. He says, no way I could deal with a girl talking about getting ran through at a frat house online for the world to hear. Yes, man. Okay, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so we're definitely on the same page. I mean, obviously, if you haven't been living under a rock, you would understand. And look, let me tell you why this came into my radar. Let's be honest about this, right? The reason why this came into my radar is simply because, you know what? Here's Akash, who's tied in with Schultz, right? And with Schultz, unfortunately, he has the backing of many people in the MMA community. You understand? So the fact that he has the backing of of many people in the MMA community, it's just a natural algorithm for me to, have, right? It's just a natural algorithm that's just going to come my way. But make no mistake, understand this, right? The case of Ian Garry is not as severe as that of Akash, and I need you guys to understand that, okay? It is not as severe as Akash. What Akash has going on is, I mean, look, I'm going to just be honest about it. It's obviously worse for Akash because Akash, is, he's not a fighter. Is he? You know what I mean? And then Marty says, ain't nothing worse than a vulgar woman. You got that right. For sure. For sure, that is the worst. Yeah, that is absolutely the worst, man. Everybody around the world, tap in. Don't forget to like and subscribe because the next topic at hand we're going to get to is Sean Strickland. Yeah, Sean Strickland, next topic at hand, because he's sort of the other extreme to this dynamic that we are talking about, right? The opposite and the extremes of things. So that is what we're going to talk about is Sean Strickland. Look, Sean Strickland is an unfortunate extremist when it comes to projecting masculinity. I mean, let's just be really honest about this. So, all right. Next topic at hand, Sean Strickland. Okay? Let me tell you what I think is really wrong with Sean Strickland, okay? Sean Strickland is the unfortunate extreme end of Akash. Ian Garry is somewhere in the middle, but still leaning towards the left side. Whereas with Sean Strickland, it's kind of weird because he has an extreme outlook on masculinity, right? But at the same time, he somehow tarnishes Islam in some kind of weird way, right? Like, I don't know, man. Let me play this video of Sean Strickland. let you guys hear what I'm talking about. Let's see. Okay, let's hear what he said. Why he stopped making fun of Islam.
I make fun of everybody but Muslims. So there was a guy named Albert Durab. They have a lot of Muslims at the gym. Love these guys. So one day, Albert Durab comes up to me and he was like, "Hey, Sean, can I talk to you?" I thought he was going to show me a move. I'm like, "All right, sure. I'll be your wrestling dummy for all these little Muslims coming in the cage." "Oh, we did guard. What position are we in here, Albert?" He's like, No. Sit down, Sean." I'm like, "Oh." Puts his hand on my leg. Muslim leaders, super touchy. They're friendly. Super friendly, guys. So odd, especially because of religion. So he's like, Sean. In my country, I cannot be friends with you." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You say things about Islam." Pretty much saying, I cannot be friends with you because what you say about Islam. Right. I'd make fun of Jews, Christians, Scientologists, make fun of everybody. So after that, after he caressed my leg and rubbed my head a little bit, I was like, "Okay, dude, I'm gonna lay off Islam." I make fun of everybody but Muslims. So there's a guy named Albert.
Okay, so for those of you that don't understand the context of that, so there was a fighter named Albert Duraev, right? And so Albert Duraev, a Chechnyan fighter, was told that, hey, listen, you can't go and hang out with Sean Strickland because he doesn't like Muslims. And so, you know what? The thing is that he wants to be friendly with Sean Strickland because Sean Strickland obviously shows a bit of respect to everybody in the gym, right? But that goes without saying. Everybody gives respect to everyone in the gym. Look, man, as disrespectful as I am online and maybe even on my private, my private social medias, man, you know what? I have a totally different experience with people, or I give a different experience with people when I'm at the gym. I'm obviously very humble like everybody else. You know, I get my ass kicked in the gym like everybody else. I get my licks in like everybody else in the gym. So, you know, I'm really not that unique in that regard, right? But everybody acts good in the gym and everybody acts to their best behavior because, let's be honest, everybody here is helping you to become a trained killer, and as such, that is the thanks that you give to them. Now, with Sean Strickland, unfortunately, the one thing that I can't stand about the guy is his hyper emphasis of masculinity that really makes no sense, right? I mean, well, okay, let me just play some clips on Sean Strickland talking about masculinity.
Being a man in 2023 is impossible. You can't be a man and have they took all self-respect from men. You can't be a man and go be a mechanic and support a family. The government robs you, like the CEOs rob you. We are in a fucking awful place right now to be a man. It's fucking rough. Being a man in 20...
So Sean Strickland is right about that. Okay, real quick, did you see the Moneybird commercial yet? No, I haven't, Victory. So Sean is right about what he said, right? It is definitely hard being a man in the modern day right now. They took away mechanical jobs. They took away opportunities for men to, let's say, learn a trade in high school, right? That's why your boy, doesn't know how to mow his own lawn. You know what I mean? Till this day, I still have people, paid to mow my lawn. No, but I'm kidding. I obviously know how to mow my lawn, but here's the thing, guys. And by the way, here's another thing that me and Marty sort of had a little bit of a banter the other day when I was on the conference call, episode where I talked about how I was paying someone to air my tires. And here's the thing. This is what I will say, right? Yeah, I do. You know what? I pay a lot of people to do different things, and let me tell you why. How long does it take to mow your lawn? How long does it take to pump your tires? Well, not really long, really. Look, here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I never pumped my own tires or never did any labor of my own. I have. I've actually done a summer job where I've worked, at landscaping. It was like probably when I was 14 or 15 years old, they paid me like, a good $100 a day just to like show up type of thing, right? So it was good money for what I had going on at that time. But on any regard, you pay to to spare your time. That's what you do, right? If you can do that and you can afford that, then why not? But Sean Strickland is right. It's very difficult. And what did Marty here say? He says they still have those jobs, but you can't make enough money to support a family doing them. Yes. Yes. And that right there is the problem with the modern masculinity, right? Is that, you know, we give so much emphasis on being a man as to with money. And look, guys, let me tell you something. As somebody who's been around a lot of rich snobs, let me be honest with you. A lot of these rich snobs that have it going on, that don't have financial problems, bro, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of these dudes are straight up wimps. A lot of them come from old money. A lot of them are, you know, are very soft in a way. They've never been in a fight and this and that. And so, you know, to say that they're more manly because they have more money than you, I mean, you know, that's where I can kind of step in there and say, you know what, this is the differentiation that I notice between this, that, and the other. And, you know, really behind all that money, you really ain't ish, right? But again, that's just the reality of the situation. And then there's people out there who are really poor, destitute, living in the hood, but yet they are probably the most manliest human beings you will ever meet in terms of, hey, listen, if we're down a ride and we're down to, you know, do some, you know, function to the junction and, you know, and do what we got to do on some gangster shit, you know, they're going to come and ride for you, right? And they, you know, are some of the people that have, you know, literally nothing, right? But that's the reality of the situation. It's like, he's right, man. It's very difficult in the modern age right now to have this sense of, you know, true masculinity in terms of providing, because quite frankly, the system is setting up a lot of people for failure. And I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy theorist in any kind of way, but if you understand the modern economy and how it's, you know, progressing or lack of, you kind of understand, like, yeah, you know what? There's something going on here that is, you know, that is beyond just, you know, people being lazy or not doing enough. You know what I mean? I think it goes a little beyond that. All right, guys. So just so you know, I have a video out right now regarding MMA Guru lying about the threats that he had going on. I'm going to play you the audio version of this, and then at the end of it, I urge you to take a look at the visual effects that I put on for that video on the video section alone. Here is the video, the audio, because obviously this is an audio show that we're doing right now, but this is the audio version of MMA Guru lied about the threats, white nationalist influence in MMA. So here we go. All right, here's MMA Guru and how he lied about the threats and why. But please check out the video. You're going to love the video and the editing that I put together on it. But here is the audio for now.
This is it. Never.
Oh, that is the commercial. Not a bad problem to have, by the way. But I'm going to let this commercial play because well, put it this way. If you guys really want to help me, always remember to keep playing the commercials, because that is ultimately what helps, yeah, what helps the monetization. So, yeah, let the commercial play. For those of you that are going to be content creators in the future, just know that. So, yeah. All right, here's the video right here. Information online, because obviously that's just how the UK works, and that's just how it works with MMA Guru's information online, because obviously that's just how the UK works, and that's just how it works when you put yourself out there. More on this in a little bit. In the short amount of time that I've been on YouTube, let's hear what my YouTube colleagues have to say about me.
Simpletons that see your sense of reasonability as a sign of wokeness. This is an intellectual sloth way of living. Blessing to you, my British man, Sacramento, CA. Can I say, Kyrie is a fantastic MMA creator, and I'm not just glazing him, because he has obviously illuminated the fact that I'm an intellectual giant. Shout out to you, sir. But Kyrie does have a phenomenal YouTube channel, really good creator. He has a beard that anyone would be jealous over, especially me as somebody who cannot grow one. Shout out to Kyrie, really good creator. Give the guy a sub, he definitely deserves it. Another person who has reasonable, well thought out takes. Frankie, I still have some friends in the
MMA needs if you want to find predictions, news, and everything that deals with MMA. Shout outs to Kyrie of El-Kheer MMA, Sacramento, California, represent.
That's right, Kyrie. I appreciate you, my nigga. You came in here, you was talking that shit. That's right, bro. Much love, Flo. I appreciate you for always stepping in, bro. Be safe out there. Man, my nigga Kyrie, my man Kyrie came through. He started talking that shit. Hey, here's the thing. Here's the thing. That nigga will whoop your fucking ass. You will think that nigga's all squared up and all that type of shit? Nigga come through and beat your fucking ass. Like, man, fuck you up. You will never see it coming. So for those of y'all,
Cool. Starting off the list of good. Oh, actually, he's gonna go into neutral too because this guy's he's wild as shit sometimes. But he's I'm telling you, Kyrie El-Kheer, he's wild as shit. He's going into neutral for different reasons. He's fucking wild. But he's the type of guy that you would want on your side. I feel like this guy just has an immense fucking loyalty about him. He's a good fucking dude. He is loyalty over royalty, defined to the fucking max. Now we start off with the good guy. I like Kyrie El-Kheer. Fucking so what?
So there you have it. Right now, let's get to the reason why MMA Guru lied about the threats online that were made to his family supposedly. But in the meantime, first, what I need you guys to do is hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend. Let's get to the video right now.
Not the MMA guru that most people know. The screamer, the rager, the impressionist,
Can I feel it? It'll not.
the exposer,
Maybe the riskiest video I've ever had to make on my channel.
and the MMA fighter's worst nightmare.
MMA Guru is just a short, fat, little, miserable hater.
But
Look, I gotta tell you, right, the most common thing that people get at about MMA Guru is his weight. I think this is low-hanging fruit. Now, obviously, those are some of the most obvious things, but there are more sinister things that I think really needs to be exposed about with MMA Guru. For one, I gotta be honest with you, right? I don't believe this whole story about him supposedly being threatened online and showing pictures of his family in their schools, particularly the children in his family or whatever they may be, cousins, nieces, nephews, or whatnot. I think it is all a lie, but let's continue on.
the MMA guru, less known.
No one likes me.
I can't stop thinking about a man who says he wouldn't be here.
Maybe the reason why nobody likes you is because you're an edgelord. You are purposely... All right, guys, I'm back on the live. Just wanted to, kind of give you guys a little bit of that sample for, from my MMA Guru video, yeah, guys, I'm probably going to do more lives than I am going to do video. I mean, I'm going to try to do videos consistently, but at the same time, if there isn't like a particular story that is really that interesting or intriguing, I don't know if if I should do it. Lucas Tracy MMA once advised and said that don't do videos that you don't feel passionate about, right? But with lives, I can do lives every day because it's sort of, interactive. We don't always have to be within the topic of what we are necessarily talking about, so long as I do bring up the topic at least one time or a few times during the live stream, which I have. By the way, everything that is on the thumbnail, I literally explained in the beginning of the first 5 to 6 minutes of the show. And then here we are with some new conversations. Let me read off top, and then I'm going to start from all the way in the top. Okay, so let's see here. Kenny Jacob says hi. Victory says, nothing worse than a vulgar woman. Yes, that comes from our conversation earlier about Akash and Garry. Victory says, okay, we saw the commercial. Yes, they still have, okay, we talked about that, why men are not feeling the way that they are. So we sort of added the Sean Strickland element into it. And by the way, expressing how Sean Strickland is sort of the extreme side of all those things, right? All right, so here it is. Did you guys see John Kamzat and Kadyrov? Is that a good way to get into the White House card? I tell you what, man, if Kamzat is in the White House card, rest assured they're going to invite Ramzan Kadyrov, and you best believe that a lot of the liberals that hate Ramzan Kadyrov are against all of these Middle Eastern, Eastern European dictators are going to have a fit about it, for sure, and they're going to use it against Trump. He says, I saw Kamzat taking John down. He says, is Kyrie eating again? No, I'm not. By the way, listen, I got to tell you, like, for whatever I do behind the scenes, I'm just going to be quite frank with you. It's none of your freaking business. I'm just going to be out flat, real about it, right? The reason why I say that's none of your business is because you don't know what I do. If I eat... I don't think that's what I was doing, but if that's what you think, okay, you have every right or entitlement to think that, but overall, really, it's none of anybody's business what I do, because I only reveal to you what I wish for you to reveal, and the rest is just up to me whether I want you to know it or not. And quite frankly, I don't really go into every detail that I do on a daily basis and what it is that I do, but rest assured and understand that I do more than just, obviously, content creation, right? You got to understand that. I go beyond just content creation. Now, somebody like, let's say, MMA Guru, this is all that he literally does. This is all that MMA Guru does. MMA Guru doesn't own a business, has never had a job yet, never really had a real job, whether that would be in the corporate world or maybe even in the type of world where he established himself with a company or any kind of degree like that. So that's just really what it comes down to. There's a lot of things that I do on a daily basis that I don't need to get into with everybody, but rest assured that I will always show up and be present for everything that I do, whether it's doing 2 things at the same time, whether it's doing 3 things at the same time. I'm going to do them all, and I'm going to accomplish what it is that I need to accomplish, because that's what winners do. So amen. All right, so Fresh Melon, okay, Victory says, it's currently a scam live, but he just left. He'll be right back. He says, yeah, I think he's eating again. Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with eating, but I'm going to let you think what you want to think. He says, yeah, but John Jones was playing and is bigger. Kamzat never plays. It's like saying the Dagestanis out wrestles DC. It depends. You know what? Khabib has the ability to do that now, because Khabib is well over 200 pounds. So he does have the capabilities of doing that. John wasn't really trying. He was there. He was here, though. Fresh Melon Juice says, I don't know. Free money with Kadyrov. Respect to Kamzat for always having his back. There you go. Fresh says, back from eating. So you and Guru are passionate. Of course he's passionate. Well, we're passionate about MMA. The thing is that we, have different contents. We do different things. We also talk about different things. But what MMA Guru has going on is very similar to the format of the UFC, right? It's a machine that keeps on going and going, right? It doesn't steer off of it, right? If you notice, you can always count on him to have a full card prediction, right, on a video. With mine, I do full card predictions, but you never know if I'm going to do it on a live or a separate video itself. Lately, I've been doing but either way, we either cover all of MMA or all of the UFC, and then, I also do boxing. He doesn't do boxing fights, but there it is, man. That's the beauty of MMA content creation. Even though it's the same niche, we all have a different way of putting it together. But, as for that video, going back to MMA Guru, as for that video, man, I really want to talk about MMA Guru right now. Hit the like and subscribe button right now if you guys want me to talk about MMA Guru, because, I think this is a very important subject to go into, right? I'm really adamant in the theory that I have about him lying. He lied about getting threats. I don't believe it. And many of you Many of you are going to resent me for saying that. And I'm going to tell you why you're going to resent me for saying that, okay? The reason why you're going to resent me for saying that is because in London right now, there is a lot of violence that is happening, particularly on the side that comes from my Muslim brothers. That's really all there is to it. That's what it is. And look, man, you guys know I'm very objective, right? If there is a clear as day, a spade, I'm going to call it. There are Muslims that commit violence in London and in England. What do you want me to do about that? I'm an American who lives in California who happens to be a Muslim, and that is not anything that I could do. But that is the reason why I believe he's lying. Okay, because there is no paperwork. Oh, okay, yeah. Victory says, I don't resent you. I don't think, it's pretty likely he did. Okay, no. I don't, when I mean resent or you, I mean the proverbial you, not you per se, like with what I'm talking about are people that have these particular opinions. Because, look, the reason why, let's just be honest with it, right? The reason why those people, now I know you don't resent me, right? But I'm talking about those other people, right? But why they would resent a statement like that falls under the fact that I believe in paperwork and they believe in speculation. You understand what I'm saying? Like for me, listen, in the streets, this is something you guys got to understand about street code, right? You never talk about a case that is not, fully done with yet. Like, in other words, if there is no verdict on a particular case, you can't talk about it. Like right now, if you're a street guy and you're talking about, well, Tupac, was murdered by Keefe D and the Southside Crips, Orlando Anderson, the guy who Death Row Records entourage jumped earlier, then honestly, that is, borderline snitching, because you don't know if they really did that or not. And there is no definitive case. Now, here's the thing. Keefe D right now is about to have a trial for the Tupac murder. How about that, right? Breaking news for those of you that don't know. He is going on trial for the Tupac murder. And, well, it's still an ongoing case, so you can't talk about it. So that is the world that I live under, right? We don't talk about things that have no definitive cases. That's what I'm trying to say to you guys, right? You can't talk about cases that don't have a definitive ending because you just don't know. You don't know the reality of that case. So let me know what you guys think about that. What do you think? You think that's a reasonable take? Or, all right, let me be honest about this too, right? It is plausible that he got death threats because you and I know what the politics of UK and the Muslim relations are like over there. Okay, even, look, Dearborn, Michigan, right? Remember that guy? What's his name? Jake Lang, right? This Zionist, American weirdo, right? Just running around trying to provoke people into fights. What was that about? Punk ass Jake Lang. Who the F is Jake Lang? Jake Lang. Ain't nobody care about no Jake Lang. So insignificant. I hate his stupid Vince McMahon looking haircut and all of that. Then he tries to wear a vest, trying to look like a combination of a sheriff, like an undercover sheriff / mercenary. Like Oh God, man. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't stand these dudes that try to look like a former special ops operator when they never really even served in the military. You know the type of guys that I'm talking about. They'll have like a big long beard. They'll have like Viking tattoos on them, and this and that. And then they'll wear the little Oakley sunglasses trying to look like, oh man, it's so cringe, bro. It is so cringe. I can't stand dudes like that. Now, look, I understand if you're Tim Kennedy. Okay, I get that, right? I understand if you're the Valhalla guy. I mean, yeah, that Valhalla guy looks like an absolute badass. For sure. I would bring that Valhalla guy, around the hood and then just grill everybody up and down like, man, what's up, cuz? What's up, cuz? You know what I mean? But then I'd have to make sure that guy was really, like down for me and stuff like that, that he'd actually like ride for me. And Green Beret guys, that's kind of one of their specialties, right? They can actually, come in a neighborhood, right? Set up a gang, right? Or already an existing gang and use them as a rebel force, because that's kind of what they do around the world anyway. That's what a lot of these Green Beret guys do. They recruit rebel forces around the world to topple governments. That is why the Green Berets and the Delta Force guys are really the elite of all military, whereas with, let's say, the Navy SEALs or the Marine Recon guys sort of get all the glory in terms of television, movie, fictional settings. He says, did you ever think about going SF? You know what? Every guy that gets into the military, especially like, how do I say this? Like infantry guys, or maybe even artillery guys, sometimes even guys that are in intelligence, right? They always talk about how they want to get into special forces, right? Every guy thinks they can do special forces, but then, some guys just have had enough with, let's say, an infantry, position, like for them, they're like, that's enough already. You know what I mean? But I will say there is a difference between being infantry, where you're literally, as the polks would call it, as the, bullet sponges, right? Because you're just basically out there in the field waiting to get hit. Whereas with special forces guys, they come in dark in the night with, night vision goggles on, kicking doors down of HVTs, which are known as high value targets. So, it's a completely different ball game, two different styles of fighting. If I could use that in mixed martial arts scenarios, two different styles of fighting. Is SF short for GAY? No, he's not talking about San Francisco. He's talking about special forces. Come on, Mr. CIA. You should know this, bro. Mr. CIA. How do you not know what that means, Mr. CIA? Come on now. You know SF. The CIA cannot exist without the SF guys. Because, the spies are always these, little, little diva type of girls that, get stuck out in the field. And then next thing you know, they're like in a kidnap scene, by ISIS, and then they're just screaming for the Delta Force to come save them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that's what it is. Spies are like, little whiny girls and stuff like that. And, spy, you have to be a slithering snake to be a spy. You know what I mean? You have to be a slithering snake. I saw this interview with John Kirkako. He has like a very Greek name. He's a former CIA agent. He was actually locked up because he exposed all of the, he exposed all of the torturing that was going on. So as he was exposing all the torture that was going on, he got locked up, man. He got locked up and, was serving in prison. While he was serving in federal prison, he was in there with the Italians, What? I'm like, man, what a story, bro. You know, he was in there with the Italians, former CIA agent, Greek guy, Greek origins, have, you know, ties to the Italian mafia. But when I look at that guy, he's a snake too, if you think about it, right? Like he snitched and whistleblowed on everybody of all these torture, you know, stuff that they were doing. And all of a sudden, you know, while he's exposing all of that, you know, did anybody ever stop and think that maybe he was getting in on the torture too, because he was a top interrogator? But yeah, anyways, yeah, John Kirkako, he was on Joe Rogan's podcast a few times. You know, very good content, good stories that he has going on. But you know, he's a spy. By the end of the day, it's what they do. You know, just like that dude, Matt Spear, who I beefed with from the Don't Unfriend Me podcast. You know, that dude was a Navy intelligence guy. You know, and that dude, he's a little bit tricky too. Every time me and him have conversations, he's always trying to play mind games or this, that, and the other. And I read through all of that. You know, I have enough IQ to read through all of that. And he sees it as a challenge. He does it to try and test himself intellectually, because he's bored at home, knowing that he's not over there doing missions or, you know, active in the military or this, that, and the other. And so he just decides to do that to his audience or, you know, people that are within the circumference of his show. But yeah, that's the thing. That's what spies do. They're tricky people. You know what I mean? They're tricky people. And that's, you know, that's all there really is to it. But there's that one guy, Andrew Bustamante, you know, a Latino brother who was a former CIA agent, right? He looks like a combination, with his long hair, he looks like a combination of a Saudi mujahideen and a yoga instructor. And I think that's it. That's what a CIA agent needs to look like. Okay, a combination of a Saudi mujahideen with his puffy, you know, long afro hair, you know, tied in with his bandana, right, looking like Lenny Kravitz, right? And then he looks like a yoga instructor, right? Bustamante, I don't know if you guys heard of him, Andrew Bustamante, very intelligent guy as well. You know, so I know that my audience here, you guys appreciate intelligent talk. You know, you guys appreciate people who have something intelligent to share with the world. And if that is you, then I am here to direct you to other guys that I also find very intelligent. You know, very intelligent, very articulate, also very thought-provoking. Because that is one thing that you need in order to be a good YouTuber. There's a lot of guys that are former military, a lot of guys that are former gangsters, a lot of guys that are former fighters. And I know all of these guys in that field of life, right? But not all of them can do a podcast or do content because maybe they lack the charisma, maybe they lack the confidence, and then on top of that, they just lack the delivery. You got to have timing and delivery when you do these things. Right? And when you watch that video that I did with the MMA guru, you know, how he lied about the death threats coming his way, you've seen that I used a lot of timing with that video, right? Like out of nowhere, bah, you know, MMA gurus are screaming at you. And then, you know, you get to the side commentary and this and that. You know, it takes a little bit of talent and will to do that. And look, honestly, it's probably not, you know, the best quality video, right? I probably got to invest on a camera next. That's what I need to do, right? Get a camera that MMA Joey has, because you look at MMA Joey's camera, it's like very, very good quality, right? It's like as if you're watching him in a movie, right? So that's probably the next thing I'm going to invest in. So, you know, and I think, yeah, I think that it's time for that. But either way, you know, getting up there and doing it, brother, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to do that. It takes a lot of cojones to do that. And not many people can get up there and do it. Also, not many people can get up here and elaborate on a story for a long period of time. Now, look at this, right? I've been on for almost an hour now. Obviously, maybe 5 minutes of that was me playing a side video. But other than that, Okay, we'll subtract, let's say 45 minutes, right? I've literally been on yapping for 45 minutes, with all different types of subjects, trying to get your dopamine high. On top of that, trying to get you through work, wherever you may be. Maybe you're at, maybe you're at on a road trip. Maybe you're a trucker. Maybe you're at the office. Maybe you're at the factory. Maybe you're at, at the courthouse, either as a lawyer, working yourself, or as a defendant or a co-defendant. Who knows? Maybe you're a judge. I doubt people like that listen to me. But then again, you never know what kind of people listen to you nowadays, right? He says, just get yourself a dirty hat. Huh? What does that mean? Get yourself a dirty hat. I don't understand what that lingo means, Marty, if you can care to elaborate on that for me. Yeah, if you care to elaborate that for me, will ya? A dirty hat. What does that mean? What is a dirty hat? Is that in reference to, MMA Guru? Is that in reference to MMA Guru? You said you need a new camera. I said, get a dirty hat. Like, there it is. Yes. Okay. So, see, there it is. I said that before you even typed that. So I caught on. See, that's what I mean, right? Like, that right there, takes a little bit of talent. Look, man, if you said that to Aiden Ross, he would be like, huh? What? I'm lost. I mean, I was too, but then I caught on and I'm like, huh? Dirty hat. Okay, what is he talking about? Oh, I was talking about, okay. Yes. But you know what? Here's another thing about MMA Guru that, I think really gives a lot of people hope, right? Look, man, the way that MMA Guru started, he obviously started with very minimal, production to his set, right? Okay, and rightfully so, it was a great investment because he didn't really need to spend much. And as such, he got all of the returns without having to spend anything. I mean, even me, on the other hand, I gotta, use a StreamYard. That is, that is a cable bill in and of itself. But he never used any of that. He just got in front of the camera, started talking his stuff. And it was only till later on when he started getting money that he started investing in, doing a little bit of some visuals. And even now, the camera is not all that, not in comparison to, let's say, MMA Joey, but yeah, that's what I got to find out what kind of cameras MMA Joey has going on, because I think that is, what is needed to go to the next level. Because you know what, like, here's one thing that I learned in the rap industry, right? Because I had a few friends that are in the rap industry. I had a buddy of mine in New Jersey, white Italian kid, okay, goes by the name of Boogie, and he used to go to school to learn how to mix, songs in a studio, right? So that was literally his college degree, right? So in the midst of that, me and him got to meet a lot of the prominent artists in New York. And then, over time, that got me some connections to some people in the West Coast, right? In particular, the Bay Area rap scene, the Stockton rap scene, which is, a thriving, entity right now, Stockton rap. So there you go, man. Stockton rap, what do you know, right? A place where Nate Diaz is from, is now also, a rap capital in California. So, yeah, look, I'm going to be honest with you. On the camera shows that I'm going to do, I'll probably address things like that because then you could see me and my eyes and in my physical form, letting you know exactly the extent of what you could get away with or not get away with if you were to meet me in person, right? So on the radio portion of this live stream, I'm not going to entertain any of that because The reason why I have these types of shows is to exhibit, our intellectual discourse with no biasness, right? If I was to put on the camera while we're having this show, it would create, a whole wide range of biasness, right? Oh, well, why is he doing this while he's at work, or why he should be doing this while doing that, or this, that, and you don't need, once again, you don't need to know anything about my personal life. I don't need to get into any of that with you, okay? But the reason why we're having this discussion, by all means necessary with no camera, is because we want to have an intellectual discourse that has no biasness. And if there's any biasness that goes on, then we can call each other out on it or have an intellectual discourse. So I'm not going to entertain all of this buffoonery and all these idiotic, talks and discussions that, don't need to be. There, you know what, Marty? That's a good point right there, right? He said, I don't think anyone would ever guess what race you do it when you do it this way. Yes, dude, the other day when I was on camera, I had a dude that came on and said, dude, this is a trip. Your face and your voice don't match. Like, he literally called me an AI. Like, as if he had, dude, it was as if he was so shocked to see, a Dagestani or a Kazakhstani, Eastern European or Central Asian looking fighter that sounds like they should be on American, mainstream television. Like, it was a shock to his system. And then Fresh Melon Juice says, Mexican. Hey, Fresh, how do you figure Mexican, by the way? How do you figure Mexican? You know what? When I first came to Stockton, right, people used to say I look like Frankie J, the Latin singer, right? I mean, the dude was a bit of a heartthrob back in the day, so I guess, it wasn't really, the worst compliment in the world. But yeah, I do get Latino a lot, though. You know what I mean? But I think that's just because, I live in California. If I was living in the UK, they would probably think, all right, maybe he's Moroccan or Pakistani or something like that. But for sure, we'll never know what race Fresh Melon Juice is unless he's willing to reveal it. You ain't willing to reveal, what race you are, Fresh Melon Juice. Come on now. Let's hear it. What are you, brother? Unless you're ashamed to be what you are. Can I take a guess? Maybe you are from the tribe of Akash. Are you an Akash Singh? Are you a BJ Penn? Yeah, he is a mystery. That's what I'm saying. And look, I'm going to tell you what he symbolizes, right? He literally symbolizes the everyday man in the internet. That's who Fresh is. He's the everyday man in the internet. Ha, Fresh. He's the everyday man. Yeah, he's the everyday man. Remember Dusty Rhodes, the father of Cody Rhodes, his song, it goes something like fuck, how does it go? It goes something like, he's the average man. Oh, wait, no, maybe that's Hulk Hogan, He's a real American man. Like, that was the WCW version. Now, obviously, the WWE had their own version of the Hulk, I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. Yeah, crazy storyline that they had going on with Sergeant Slaughter back in the days, right? Sergeant Slaughter had that, he was like an Iraqi sympathizer of some sort. If you guys remember the Iraqi sympathizer storyline that they had going on. Very crazy stuff for its time back in the WWE for sure, man. What did he say here? All we know is that he's 14, 300 pounds Christian and works for the CIA. Man, listen, you know what? You ever seen the show, Mr. Smart Guy back in the days? It was, I believe he was sisters with Tia and Tamara, the Maury sisters, right? Where Mr. Smart Guy, he like basically skipped all these grades to be, like this child prodigy genius, right? So it's, if that's who he is, and then he got a job at the CIA at that young age, hey, why not? They're like, hey, you know what? We need to have like a child soldier so we can deploy him to like Congo to investigate like, child rebel soldiers. And so we can only use somebody that is of that age. So we got to speed somebody up. Okay, like I would not be surprised if the agency has, something like that going on. You know what I mean? Yeah, he is. That's the thing about him, right? He is very smart, bro. Like a lot of the things that he does write and talk about. Like, look, bro, you can tell how intelligent somebody is just based on the type of conversations that they bring about. Okay, now like that Jonathan guy earlier that's talking about all this other gay stuff, I mean, like that right there is just low-level, intelligent conversation. I mean, really, it's low-level, intelligent conversation I'm not willing to engage in. It's just so idiotic and so immature, especially when there are bigger things that we could talk about beyond just, all this other, childish humor that he was trying to get into. I mean, it is just absolutely pathetic, right? But not Fresh, though, man. Fresh is, look, with the banter that he has going on, I can tell that he also means well. For example, when he told me, hey, brother, listen, you need to go get a mic. You need to go get a new mic, okay? You need to go get a new mic. And I said, well, you know what? Thank you for that constructive criticism. You know what he said? He said, yeah, listen, brother, you know what? That it's for my ears, okay? I don't want to keep having, my ears wrung out. And you know what? Like, only he knows, only intelligent people know what he meant by that sense of gesture. You know what I mean? Those are like, two high IQ people, having a go at each other saying, hey, look, bro, I got your back. While busting my balls at the same time. Like, that's literally what he was trying to convey with that. I mean, could I get an amen on that or what? But yeah, he's a very intelligent guy for sure. You know what I mean? If you're an intelligent guy yourself, you can, absolutely sense that. Yeah, he is a very good dude, man. You know, that is one thing that I can't, take away from, from the brother is that he is a very good, genuine soul, just based on his, intended, well-intended interactions. Like all of his interactions are well-intended. Like, for example, that other Jonathan guy earlier that's coming in here talking about like, do you do this and that or whatever. I mean, that's very, intentionally, just malignant. Like, you don't know me from a can of paint, and then you're coming in here talking about all of that. Like, do you realize that I could probably slice your Adam's apple in real life? Like, do you realize that? By the way, guys, I'm talking about apples, okay? I'm talking about apples. I like to slice my apples when I eat them, okay? I don't know. Maybe it's a snobby middle-class thing, but I like to slice my apple when I eat them with a knife. A really sharp knife. Swing! Like that. So he seems to want to remain a mystery, though. Yeah, that's fine. Look, the internet is not for everybody. That's the next topic I'm going to talk about right now regarding MMA Guru. Let me get a like button, and because we're going to get really uncensored with MMA Guru in a couple of minutes. We're about to get really uncensored with MMA Guru. I'm going to let all the shots fly on this one, and and I hope that he catches some verbal straight bullets with it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going Tupac hit 'em up mode on MMA Guru in a couple of minutes. Let me get a like on that one. First of all, MMA Guru, fuck your bitch in the clique you claim. West Side, when we ride, when we quit the game. You claim to be an incel, but you ain't F no one's wife. Yeah. Oh, man, dropping some bars on MMA Guru right now. He says, I like to put a little salt on my apples. There you go. Yup. Yeah, man, give me that like button. We're going to go, hit 'em up mode on MMA Guru. First of all, F your in the clique you claim. West Side, when we ride, when we quit the game. Everybody says you an incel, so you ain't never F no one's wife. But you ain't got no life. He says Shame Fresh is missing this. How's he missing this? He's in the building, I think, right? When you say that, are you saying that in reference to the fact that maybe he's a big MMA Guru fan and that perhaps maybe he may not like what I have to say? Well, guess what? If you're an MMA Guru fan, you're going to hate what I'm about to tell you right now because it's just everything is a God honest truth, including the ones that are good about it. And that's what I do, right? I'm going to tell you all the good things, but then I'm also going to tell you all the bad things that are the reality of things. So all right, guys, in 2 minutes, we're going to talk about MMA Guru. In 2 minutes, to be exact. We are going to hit up MMA Guru. Oh, he doesn't like Guru? Well, okay. Well, then that shows that he's an intelligent person. Look, here's the thing, right? In order for you to like MMA Guru, there only has to be two criterias, okay? There's only two criterias, and I'm going to go into that in less than a minute, okay? Because let me grab the laptop first so that I can have, audio visual for you guys to, consume in the meantime, okay? So, all right. Under 20 seconds, we're going to talk about MMA Guru. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, here we go. Look, there's only two criterias that you could possibly only like MMA Guru. Number one, you're either a dumb teenager or you just happen to like the consistency of MMA news information. Okay, those are the only two criterias that you have. That's it. Okay, any more than that, you don't understand MMA Guru. Okay? Yes, and I know that other people out there are also going to say, well, what about the notion of him being a white nationalist? Wouldn't that also, qualify as a reason to like him? Well, here's the thing, right? You want to know something about MMA Guru? Even the white nationalists don't like him. I mean, think about this. Why would the white nationalists like you when you're doing a podcast with DJ? Do you think DJ gets a white pass because he's half white, because he has a white woman as his wife at home? Do you think that he gets a pass because of that? No, he doesn't. Do you think that he gets a pass because he sounds as articulate as Kyrie Abu El-Kheer? Does he really get a pass because of that? No, he doesn't. He is a sworn enemy to the white supremacists. And you know how I know this? There's a guy that was a real Irish white supremacist online by the name of Critical Eye MMA. Now, for those of you that don't know who Critical Eye MMA is, that guy was a staunch Irish white nationalist to the max. To the max. There's no way of putting it. He was a white nationalist to the max. He doesn't want any non-whites in Ireland. He wants Ireland to be free of everything else. And then anything that is not white in America, he wants out of there. Anything that is not white in Great Britain, he wants out of there. Anything that is not white in a country that is supposed to be white, he wants all of them out of there. This is the stance that he has. MMA Guru and the people like Tommy Robinson, they have more of a civic nationalist stance. Now, what exactly does civic nationalism mean? Well, let's look it up. What exactly is a civic nationalist? Okay, the definition of civic nationalism is a form of nationalism that defies national identity based on shared citizenship, political values, and institutions rather than ethnicity or culture. So that is MMA Guru in a nutshell. He is a civic nationalist. And with that in mind, that means that the white supremacists are not going to really mingle with him. You know, Tommy Robinson had the same problem, okay? A lot of people call him a race traitor. A lot of people call him a shield towards the Israeli government. A lot of people call him a pro-Zionist, which he is. Tommy Robinson is an open Zionist. Victory says, you must have had that Arabian coffee this morning, Kyrie. You think so, man? Well, I am having some good coffee this morning. And you know what? You are right, man. You know, Arabian coffee is probably one of the strongest coffees in the world. I mean, look at, most Arab guys, around the world. They're either as hyped up as me or they're out there building tall buildings, right? So they must have their coffee right in some kind of way, right? But yeah, shout out to Arabian Coffee. Victory says, the only thing I ever liked about Guru when he would make fun of Joe Rogan. Well, in what way would he make fun of Joe Rogan? Is it because that Joe Rogan has somehow become more of a casual now? Look, here's the thing, right? You know what, MMA Guru, the jokes behind MMA Guru, right? I need you guys to hit that like button right now before I tell you the jokes that MMA Guru has behind his anti-Joe Rogan stance, because I'm about to drop some bombs on you on this one. just Joe's redundant takes. It's not just that. It's not just that. You know, yes, does Joe have redundant takes? Yes. You know, I mean, do I have redundant takes? I don't know. I mean, that's for you guys to decide. You know me, I'm not above criticism. You know what I mean? I'm a person that, you know, if you give me constructive criticism, you know, then I'll listen to it, right? But I know the difference between constructive criticism and that of just malign, you know, intended, you know, malice, right? You know, so you can damn near finish his sentence most of the time, Joe Rogan. Okay, okay, so yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Maybe, you know, I have that same problem as well. Maybe I don't. But no, that's not the issue with Joe Rogan. Guys, I need you to hit one more like button and we'll get it cracking. You know, yeah, we'll basically get it cracking as to why MMA Guru has this visceral hate towards Joe Rogan to a certain capacity, right?
Yes.
Oops, turn that down. That's going to, okay, let's see here. Yeah, so one more like button and we'll get right on it, okay? All right, that's cool, man. So I got a TLC commercial on my thing. Who would have ever thought, man? I would have a TLC commercial. TLC, the 90s R&B band. So I creep, yeah, dun 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 dun. That Waterfall song too was hot back in the days. But all right, I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you why MMA Guru goes after Joe Rogan. He goes after Joe Rogan due to the fact that due to the snobbish mentality that many MMA people have when they are hardcores and other people don't have the time in the world to be hardcores or to look up all this information that you need in order to be a successful MMA content creator. Victory says a scrub is a guy that thinks he's fly. Yeah, yeah. There you go, man. You know, bro, because, you know, you're a child of, well, you're 35 years old. So, you know, when I was 10 years old, you were probably 5. So, okay, you were probably coherent enough at that age to, you know, consume that kind of music. But yeah, you're an old head like me, Marty. So, yeah, man, you know, let me and you as two old guys, you know, watch this world burn together. You know, let the youngins, you know, run this, you know, thing to the ground, you know, the next generation and whatnot. But okay, so it's a snobbish mentality that that MMA Guru has towards Joe Rogan. Now, look, Joe Rogan has so many different responsibilities. Not only does he have so many different responsibilities, he also has a lot of, you know, let's say, you know, hobbies, different things that he does, right? Different interests. He goes out bow hunting. He goes out, you know, now marathon running. Well, I don't know if he goes running that far, but, you know, he goes as far as he can to keep up with Cameron Haynes. But he's got a lot of different interests. And then on top of that, here's another thing, guys. Joe Rogan actually trains. And now, look, here's the thing. You want to know why I decided that I was going to just put my training sessions online? The reason why is because I thought, you know what, man, listen, if, sorry about that. Okay. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Mic check, 1 2. Okay, we're back. Okay. So, all right. So, yeah, and here's another thing about Joe Rogan, right? Joe Rogan actually trains. Okay, Joe Rogan actually trains. So you know why I decided to put my training sessions, you know, on live stream? I just thought, you know what, look, in order to be a successful streamer, you got to stream often. So how are you going to do that with the kind of busy schedule that you have on top of having to train yourself? Because look, here's the thing. There's a lot of fat slobs in the world of MMA YouTube, right? I mean, no disrespect to any of them, but I mean, listen, man, you know, the biggest MMA journalist of them all, John Morgan, I mean, you know, John Morgan isn't exactly winning, you know, Mr. Universe contests over there, is he? You know, but neither am I. I'm not winning any Mr. Bodybuilding contests either. I'm not a bodybuilder, but I am a sufficient Muay Thai striker and a trained wrestler all my life. So, you know, I'm well-rounded enough to, you know, hurt the average man in the street, right? But you have to train. You got to look the part. You have to feel the part. And if you're going to look the part, man, people are going to respect what you do more. And Marty, look at Marty, right? He, you ask him what was it that got him hooked into my channel, was because when he saw the training sessions, he knew that I know how to train like a fighter, that I have trained with fighters before, and that I have learned these methods somewhere before, right? So he knows that it's legit. He knows that when he's talking to a guy that understands MMA. Whereas with MMA Joey, he doesn't train, and I understand he's got a life outside of being MMA Joey. He's got, a corporate job. MMA Guru has nothing going on, no corporate job, no college degree, none of that. So he was able to have all the time in the world to push into being a YouTube content creator. It's not hating on him or anything, but please understand there is a reason why, even with whatever money he claims to make, at the same time, look, here's another thing too, man. MMA Joey is saying that he buys a lot of bots. So this is kind of why I'm skeptical of the so-called money that he makes. I think that he uses the platform to try and push as many views as he can while putting some bots in there to make it seem like he's bigger than what he is. But when the paycheck comes around, I think that, he understands that he's, he's living a little bit hard in London. He's not exactly the neighbor of King Charles in London. Let's just say that, right? He's more of the neighbors of, let's say, the Brixton Top Boys, more than he is, let's say, in the west side of London, which is located where Buckingham Palace is at. And along with many of these fine locations that the rich British people live in, which he claims to, sort of live under. He's not at that level. I think that there's a lot of bots that he puts on to his channel. And then on top of that, I think that he makes way less money than what he perceives. Look, does he make a living off of YouTube? Yes, but not at the multi-millions. Not at the multi-millions. So with that in mind, I think it's safe to say I probably have way more money than MMA Guru. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? That's just the God honest truth. The guy doesn't own a car. How do you not own a car and you live in London? Right? You know how much of an advantage it is to have a car in London? You know what I mean? And how much of a disadvantage it is to not have a car in London. Okay, Zayn has a car in London. He gets around. Everybody that I know in London that's, worth something has a car because they need to get around. You can't rely on Uber or the black taxi cab driver that they traditionally have. Yeah, all of that is good, bro. I love getting into those black taxis in London, right? I love them, but I'm a tourist. If you're from there and you live there, you don't need to be in public transportations. You're the MMA Guru. You should be driving around in an Aston Martin around London, but why don't we see none of that? Because I think you're capping. He says, how many times have you been to London? 3. So that's what it is. I think you're capping with the money that you make, and then I think you're capping with the views that you get. I think that the majority of his views are bots, and I'm not saying that he doesn't make good money on the internet, but I just don't think he's a millionaire. I don't think MMA Guru is a millionaire. I know, bro, listen. Look, you could think what you want to think, right? But MMA Guru is no different than a lot of these rappers that I know who have the same amount of views that he gets with their songs. You understand what I'm saying? And I know what they make. And I understand YouTube music versus YouTube MMA is a little bit different, but not really, bro. Like, I know how the cookie is made, and you ain't fooling me because I've been in the corporate side of these things, behind the stage when it comes to these types of people. You know what I mean? I've been around rappers. I've been around fighters. I know how the cookie is made. Okay, now when it comes to YouTubers, this is relatively new to me, though. This world, I'm not going to lie, right? It's relatively new, but it doesn't mean I don't know how the cookie is made in other industries, and MMA Guru isn't fooling anybody but a bunch of 12-year-old kids, and that's just the bottom line about it. He says, you manage fighters? Not not per se UFC fighters, but, you know, I have helped some regional guys, you know, let's say, you know, sign a fight, you know, like, all right, we're going to agree we're going to make this much and that, you know, something like that, you know, nothing on the UFC level, because all the guys that I know that are in the UFC, they already have, you know, big managers like Ali Abdelaziz. I have been around Ali before when he came out to Sacramento with Cody and obviously out in AKA, but yeah, man, managing fighters, here's the thing about that too, right? Man, I don't know if I should reveal this, but, you know, well, all right. I mean, this isn't, you know, really anything new, so I'll just reveal it anyway. This is sort of public information. Look, most managers are nothing more than just diplomats. They're nothing more than just diplomats for the UFC, right? So in other words, the UFC says, these are our interests, go meet them with these fighters. You understand what I mean? Like, that's really the business behind MMA. I mean, in particular with the UFC, not MMA in total, but when we're talking about just the UFC alone, yeah, that's the reality of you know, of that scope. He says, right, I've wondered why people have managers. I can answer that. You asked me the other day, why do I pay people to pump my tires? Why do I pay people to pump my tires, Marty? Think about that, right? Is that costly? Yes. But, you know, I mean, yeah, to what extent, right? But are you willing to pay for your free time? You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's what it is. Are you willing to pay for your free time? Because while I was getting that done, guess what? I was getting this done with you guys. He says, especially regional guys, can't you negotiate your own contract? Bro, some of these fighters, you understand some fighters can't read, right? Like, that's not an exaggeration, Marty. Like, a lot of fighters can't read. Look, just because you're homies in your gym, and just because a lot of the fighters that I know are college educated, and maybe you as well, you know, it does not mean that every fighter can read their own contracts, bro. You know, but I tell you what, if you can read, if you know how to talk to people, and you are in the world of MMA, hey, man, let me tell you, there's many ways you can make money off of MMA, you know, besides YouTube and besides, you know, fighting in the UFC. Victory says, yeah, but the regional guys and low-level UFC fighters aren't making much, and they got to give 10% to some managers. Correct. This is what you would do as a fighter, and I understand why. Because you're like, I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I know what I'm doing. Okay, that's good. But then there are other guys that are like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't want to waste time with this. But that's what I mean, bro. Like, if I didn't pay anyone to pump my tires yesterday, quote unquote, right? I mean, even though it was for free, right? Because I'm a member of America's Tires, right? But that is still paying for it. So it's like, if I'm paying for America Tires, you know, on a certain basis, I mean, why not, you know, use their services to, you know, to enhance my time, right? But that's really what it is. You know, guys are buying time. That's why they have managers, because they buy their time. Now, look, Marty, I've told you that I've won traffic court cases. Okay, now I'm not a lawyer. Now, do I read up on law? Do I read up on, you know, how to pass the bar exam or this and that? You know, learn paralegal skills? Yes. But that's because I'm a resourceful person, right? In terms of understanding what it is that I need to understand to accomplish a mission. You know, not everybody can do that. You know, just because you're a fighter. Look, here's the thing, right? This is what I wanted to say about Tim Kennedy. I kind of got lost in translation about what I was talking about with Tim Kennedy. A lot of these military guys, look, you know the scandal that went on with Tim Kennedy, right? He lied about certain missions that he was on when he wasn't, or probably exaggerated some of those missions. Nonetheless, he was still in missions regardless. He just lied about certain specific ones to make it look movie, theatric, cinematic, and all of that entertainment rolled into one, right? Okay, well, a lot of these military guys, I think, are very resentful towards Tim Kennedy. You want to know why? Because Tim Kennedy would whoop your freaking asses. Okay, Tim Kennedy was a martial artist before he was ever a special forces Delta Force guy. He was all of that. So he would beat all of your asses. And a lot of these guys with egos in the military can't handle that. And that is a God honest truth. Victory says, but I guess some managers have good relations with promoters and can get help you the right fights. Exactly, bro. Listen, if Khabib never ran with Ali Abdelaziz, it would be a serious problem for Khabib's career. Okay, Ali Abdelaziz has a leverage over the UFC. What exactly is that leverage? His leverage are the fighters. So there's a check and balance going on with the UFC and Ali Abdelaziz. Not just Ali Abdelaziz. You can add Audi Atir into that mix. You can add Ibrahim Kawa into that mix. Notice all those names that I mentioned, right? Whether they are Sunni Muslim, Shia Muslim, or Arab Christian, they are all Arab guys. Why is it that it's always the Arab guys that are in managerial positions? Well, I got to tell you guys, Arabs, you know what we're good at? We are good at being the best diplomats in the world. We are masters at diplomacy. That is what we are good at. Why? Because we've lived in a region that is tied to war, that is tied to combat, that is tied to sectarian violence, that we know how to either fight that or negotiate around that or do a little bit of both. So that is why Ali Abdelaziz is the perfect manager. Because guess what? When the team dominance guys were sitting around the TMZ table in New York, they asked them, hey, out of everybody in this group, okay, who would win in a fight if weapons were involved? You know who they said? They said Ali Abdelaziz. He's dangerous with weapons. You get a chair around Ali Abdelaziz, he's going to look like The Rock hitting mankind with 20 shots in a row to his head, nonstop, right? That's what Ali Abdelaziz will do to you. We're not even talking about, other aspects of firearms and this and that, because you guys already know the background of Ali Abdelaziz. The guy was literally an FBI agent on top of being, a Muslim Brotherhood member. At least that is according to the documents, allegedly. So think about it. Fighters want to feel safe around gangsters. Here's another thing. Hamza Shiraz. You guys are probably wondering, what is Hamza Shiraz hanging out with Zayn? Bro, let me tell you something, man. There is a reason why Hamza Shiraz hangs out with Zayn, guys. Okay? And I'm just going to leave it at that. There is a reason why. Okay, now I know that, you can say this and that about Zayn, and I know we had a bit of that, a bit of that banter with him in the chat the other day, but rest assured, with all due respects to Zayn, there is a reason why a world-class boxer like Hamza Shiraz wants to hang out with him. There is a reason why a lot of these world-class fighters in Sacramento that I've known for, over a decade now want to hang out with me, other than the fact that I trained with them. There is a reason why. Because fighters want to feel safe around people that are dangerous. He said, I had no idea he was an FBI agent. An informant. He was apparently dealing with a case where he was infiltrating a terrorist organization or a terrorist cell in New York, right? So, yeah, man, Ali Abdelaziz has been through a lot. And then on top of that, the sectarian violence that goes on in Egypt, in which he grew up around. So, Ali Abdelaziz is... when you're a guy like Khabib, okay, or better yet, how about Abdul Manap, right? A guy who I've actually talked to over on the phone with, right? let's just say that they were looking for immigration lawyers, and I happen to know a few people or this and that. But you guys have seen me on a FaceTime chat with Abdul Manap, right? Abdul Manap felt safe bringing Khabib and Islam around Ali Abdelaziz. You want to know why? The reason why they felt safe bringing Islam and Khabib around Ali Abdelaziz is because Ali Abdelaziz is what we call in the Middle East the hard man. Okay, what is a hard man? Well, you hear a lot of British gangsters say that within their urban cultures. Well, hard man, you's a hard man, yeah? You a hard man, yeah? Hard man, yeah? All of that, right? All that brub stuff and this, that, and the other. And, them ting, bruv, them ting, yeah? Them ting. It's so funny. They call guns dinger. Like here, America, we call it heat. We call it strap. They call it dinger. Hey, bruv, pass me the dinger, bruv. We see some youths going down the block, yeah? We might have to, clash with some ops, yeah? You know what I mean? A little London, UK gangster shit for y'all right there. But yeah, man, that's what they do. That is what they do, man. He wanted him to be around somebody that was a hard man, right? This is just natural for all fighters because here's the thing, guys. Fighters are the most vulnerable people in the fight game. Okay, they are the most vulnerable people in the fight game. They're not the strongest guys in a fight game. You guys understand that, right? Unless, of course, you're Francis Ngannou, he's had it. He's like, hey, you know what, man? I'm not going to be bullied by you. So the next thing you know, he goes and pushes Dana White around because guess what? Fernand Lopez, the trainer and the manager at the time of Francis Ngannou, was not going to do that. That black dude, that black sports agent, Marcel, right? He wasn't going to do that to Dana White. But Francis Ngannou, he comes from not only the streets of Cameroon, but comes from a very violent, gangland-ridden place of Paris. Okay, and he came from a place like that. Guess what? He's going to get off on you, bro. If you feel disrespected in some kind of way, I don't give a F if you're Dana White. I'm going to get at you. And who's to say that Ali Abdelaziz did not have these moments with Dana White? Because guess what? Ali Abdelaziz has leverage over the UFC. And let me tell you, as an Arab man, I know exactly what Ali Abdelaziz is doing. Because as an Arab man, we work on leverage and power at all times. Because the worst fear that an Arab man has is losing power and control over his domain. You understand? Just like Ali Abdelaziz says in every sentence, you understand? That is what we are most fearful of, is losing, that particular control. And a lot of people, are not going to understand that in terms of how Ali Abdelaziz is leveraging the UFC, right? So, okay, in a hypothetical situation, let's say Ali Abdelaziz gets into a fight with Dana White, okay? He gets into a fight with Dana White, and it's behind the scenes. Nobody knows. What is Dana going to do? What is Dana going to do when Ali Abdelaziz has 200 fighters under contract? Oh, yeah, guys, we're talking about 200. You have no idea who is under Ali Abdelaziz's management. You have no idea, okay? We're talking about in the 200s, and they all fight in the UFC, if not in Bellator and in other places where Ali still has connections to, like the PFL, which was formerly known as the World Series of Fighting, where, by the way, Justin Gaethje came out of, in which Ali Abdelaziz matched up his career perfectly up until he moved up to the UFC from the WSOF, okay? He says, speaking of British gangsters, have you seen Mobland? Oh, yeah, man, with Pierce Bronson. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That is hard, bro. That was hard with Tom Hardy on top of that. He says, Frankie Edgar always speaks very highly of him, and Frankie is a straight up, no BS kind of guy. There you go, man. There you go. So you see all this stuff that all these other guys, look, you got a trusted name in MMA like Frankie Edgar, right? Is that a trusted name or not? Yes? It's a trusted name. Great. Okay, with that trusted name, now you got a whole bunch of other trusted names. Kelvin Gastelum, he's not a BS type of guy, regardless of how you may feel about his recent performance as an athlete or his recent performance as a fighter. That's fine. That's one thing, right? But think about it. Think about this, right? They are saying all of these things for a reason, because aside from all the biasness and even the Islamophobia that you will experience in in the media, in real life, Ali Abdelaziz is a straight up guy to these men. Okay, he shows up for them in different capacities. You've heard Islam Makhachev in the Aiden Ross live stream. By the way, shout out to Aiden Ross. I really praise him. At the highest, to the highest degree now that he promoted Islam. But he said in the Aiden Ross thing, what did he say in the Aiden Ross thing? He says that Ali Abdelaziz cooked for me. So you see, this is what Ali does. He does a little bit of everything for his guys. He spars with Islam, even goes and spars with Aiden Ross on camera, which, by the way, was fun, seeing Ali choke him out, right? Does all of that. So he's a content creator for them. Okay, he does all the interviews for them. He's the English-speaking voice for the Dagestanis, as I am as well. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, he goes and trains with them, cooks for them, does everything. So he is the total package. That is Ali Abdelaziz. So all this other stuff, that you got with Conor McGregor, how's Noah, huh? Here's what I got to say about this. If you're not Conor McGregor and you're not in the fight game and you're not beefing or fighting against anyone in Ali Abdelaziz's camp, respectfully, shut the F up and go to hell, okay? Because you are a fanboy. You don't understand what is going on in the real world of MMA. You don't understand. You don't understand the facility that Ali Abdelaziz provides for these guys. So quite frankly, your opinion doesn't matter. Oh, Ali Abdelaziz is a snake. How do you know? What gym you train at? Who you roll with? Huh? What gym, what prominent people have you trained with? Have you trained in AKA? Have you trained with Renzo Gracie in New York? If you ain't done none of those things and you ain't got a fighter that's fighting against them, shut up. Okay? Especially if you're not fighting against them. If you're fighting against them and you got a team behind you that's fighting Kelvin Gastelum, Justin Gaethje, one of the Dagestani guys, Islam, Olenbekov, or whoever else is in Ali Abdelaziz's camp, then by all means, go diss away. It's your job. It's what you have to do. But if you are none of those things, you need to shut up, because you don't know anything about Ali. And Ali, from what everybody says, is a straight up guy. And how much more can you really ask from that? I mean, do you guys agree with that notion or not? Let me hear some thoughts on that about Ali, because a lot of the MMA fans throw so much hate at Ali, including MMA Guru. Like, what do you know about Ali, bro? Like, you ain't got a fight team. You don't got nobody that's fighting against him. What is your beef, right? I mean, is that a legit question to ask or what? Be honest. I mean, really, let's be honest. Damn, man. Okay, we need to get a charger here. He says, all right. Okay, what did he say here? Yeah, your Francis Dana take is basically the same thing Shab said. He said UFC bullies fighters and most just take it. Yeah, Brandon Schaub said something to the effect of, what did he say? He said something to the effect of his agent called the matchmaker Joe Silva, right? And he says, "Hey, listen, I'm going to put it on speaker. Don't let him know that you are here. I want you to hear this." Okay? And so it was, honestly, yeah, man, it was bad, bro. It was bad. The way that they, talked about him and towards him, it was bad. It was really bad. Let me, okay, let me check out this audio real quick. If not, this may be the last of it. Let me, okay. Okay. Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there is a lot of bullying going on with the UFC and fighters. I think a lot of people highly underestimate the reality of how fighters get bullied for one reason or another, right? Because a lot of people don't like to think of fighters as people that get bullied or, this, that, and the other. They look at fighters as, really strong individuals. I'll give you an example. I've felt some kind of bullying in some kind of way in workplaces. You know what I mean? I mean, look, honestly, of course, man, I know I could beat people up, man. I'm a former amateur Muay Thai champion. On top of that, I've fought MMA. I've trained with some of the best guys in the world. And I do nothing but analyze fights all day. So it's like, I know I could beat up the average human. But it doesn't mean that I don't get bullied at work or people use their positions against me or this and that. But at the same time, it also doesn't mean that I don't pull no Francis Ngannou shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'd invite, some random dude, at work that thinks he's got like a certain position of power. Next thing you know, I invite him to the hood. Like, hey, listen, come through the hood party, with us, right? We'll have some fun, have a little barbecue. Next thing you know, I call the homies and I'm like, hey, listen, this dude, I work with him, whoop-de-woo. He thinks he's hot shit at work. All right, no problem. You run up on him then. And run up on him, they did. Bow! Right in your mouth. You think you're tough? You think you're the boss? You think that you own me? Where are you at now? You're in my world. I own you in this world. Sorry, guys, just got lost in a trance right there. Felt like I was reliving something. What is this about Daniel Hamid? He says, everyone except Daniel Hamid. Oh, what is that in reference to? Why did we reference Daniel Hamid here? Yeah, what got Daniel Hamid mentioned here? What was that in reference to? Oh, he said you can beat everyone up except for Daniel Hamid. Yo, listen, man. Look, Daniel Hamid, the only combat sports he's ever done in his life is obviously boxing. He's had a few boxing fights, didn't do too good in that. I think it would be even worse if I was to leg kick him and, you know, he would not know how to deal with something like that. He would not know how to deal with the range of teep kicks or this and that. And then if we got up close, you know, in close range proximity, within grappling exchanges, I would absolutely dominate him with ease. With ease, I would dominate him with ease. You know, it would not even be, you know, a fair fight whatsoever. So, but yeah, man, shout out to Daniel Hamid though, man. You know, even though me and him have had some banter going on. Do you guys want to know the origins behind, you know, me and Zayn's beef with Daniel Hamid? Let me know if you guys want to know the origins. I'm actually about to tell you the origins of our beef in just a second. All right, so Daniel Hamid, right? You guys know Amir Khan, the boxer? Daniel Hamid trains with Amir Khan. Go figure. Go figure, right? Go figure. He trains with Amir Khan. Is anyone surprised that Daniel Hamid trained with Amir Khan? Okay, so you guys know about the beef with Hamza Shiraz and Amir Khan, right? Let me see if I can pull up an audio of this real quick. Let me see if I can pull up an audio of this. Let's see here. Okay, right here.
Like, I'm here to support all the young fighters. Every fighter, being Asian especially, but for an Asian fighter to talk shit about you all the time.
When he says Asian, here's the funny thing, right? They call Asians in the UK. In the UK, they call Pakistanis Asians. So please understand the context that Amir Khan is talking about here. He says, I couldn't find your email looked up on your page description. Yeah, there, it says the email right there. So let me see if I can guide you to it. Just to give you a bit of a quick tutorial of how to... Okay, so right here, right? Are you looking at the screen? Let me know if you're looking at the screen right now, okay? Okay, so right here, you go down right here, it says more info, and then view email address right here. You click this button, and then it will do that for you, okay? So right here, where it says email address, right there. All right, that's how you do it. And then it'll give you my email right there, okay? So, okay, back to Amir Khan. Back to Amir Khan. By the way, I'm giving you the origins of me and Zayn's beef behind, you know, Daniel Hamid. And keep in mind, Daniel Hamid trained with Amir Khan. So here it goes.
And I'm like, wait a minute, why talk shit about me for? Like, I mean, that's the sad part about boxing. When you retire from the sport of boxing, you see the people who are with you or not with you, and the people then start talking shit. That's one thing about boxing. As soon as I said I'm retired, people like these Hamza Shirazis come out the woodworks and start talking shit. I'm like, who the fuck are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I'm still a, you know what I mean? I'm a man. You know what I mean? I'm not retired from everything in life. Man, I always take it on you if I have to. Like,
So in other words, what he's saying to Hamza Shiraz is, you know what? Just because I'm retired from boxing, it doesn't mean that I won't come and street fight you. Well, guess what Daniel Hamid says, right? He says, F you to Amir Khan, to Hamza Shiraz. And you know Zayn is tied in with Hamza Shiraz, right? So here comes Daniel Hamid right here, posted on Hamza Shiraz, Hamza Shiraz post of a screenshot of talking about his haters, right? Like, hey, these haters are saying this, that about me. And then lo and behold, guess whose name pops up? It's none other than Daniel Hamid. Okay, he's saying, F you, Hamza Shiraz, you are absolute shite. You are absolute shite, Hamza Shiraz. You are absolute shite. I'm trying to do an Indian slash, what do you call it? Indian slash Scouser accent. You're absolute shite, mate. You're absolute shite. So there you go, right? That is the origins behind that beef. And then, obviously, if you're going to be friends with who you're going to be friends with, you're going to back them up. And at the same time, you're going to, go at someone who, that's just how it goes. So let's see what Hamza Shiraz had to say about this. Oh, wait. No, they actually squashed their beef, is it? Okay, did they squash your beef or? Okay. Let me see here.
Connor, I think he might be a little bit too big for Connor.
Okay. Yeah, that's all right, well, there goes that about, such and such. But yeah, that's basically the origins behind it. So all right, guys, what else? What else is there? Obviously, there's no UFC, that's going to come up. There's no boxing, no major boxing event. Man, it's as if they just want to close everything down for Thanksgiving. It's so weak, isn't it? Yeah, man, I don't like how everything just shuts down, for Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? It's not good. I don't like it, especially for combat sports. Yeah, is there any combat sports going on in around that time during is there any combat sports going on in what do you call it? I don't think there is, huh? Let me see if there's any combat sports going on this coming weekend. see here. Let me see here. Let's see, boxing scene. Let's take a look at boxing scene. Okay, November 29th. Okay, you got Fraser Clark taking on Jaime. Okay, Ben Whitaker. Okay, Ben Whitaker is also fighting on DAZN. Okay, so that's a DAZN card. BBC. Okay, so that's a BBC card. Fraser Clark versus Jaime. Julian Luna versus Dante Jordan. Gradis Kroos versus Rustam Ibrahim. Yeah, that's all November 29th. Okay, so and on the UFC side, let's see. So obviously we just had UFC Qatar. That's going to be a big break after that. Usually after a big New York card, they usually go to China, right, as indicative of the Michael Bisping GSP fight. 2 weeks later, he goes to China and fights again, right? So that's what they do after the New York card. They go have an international card right afterwards. So UFC 223, yeah, 323. That's going to be on December 6th. Okay, so that's not too far away, is it? Okay, so it's November 5th this week. Okay, there's November 5th. Let's see, calendar. Let's take a look at the actual calendar right now. Okay, yes, you'd have to go on laptop. Okay, yes. Yes, I don't know why that doesn't show up on mobile, but it's weird, right? They don't do the same thing for mobile as they do for, yeah. Let's see here. Okay, so this week is the 29th. Okay, so yeah, there's no UFC on the 29th, just nothing but boxing. Yeah, it's just nothing but boxing for the remainder of November. Obviously, it's British boxing because guess what? Guess what they don't celebrate in good old, Great Britain? You know what they don't celebrate over there? What they don't celebrate over there is Thanksgiving, right? That's one thing they don't celebrate over there is Thanksgiving. So there you have it. No Thanksgiving in that part of the world. So, yeah, that's all we have is Fraser Clark, and then that's it. And then Ben Whitaker, has his fight going on, and that's about it. That's taking place in Birmingham, and then the other one is taking place in Derby. So, all right, man. Interesting stuff, man. Interesting stuff. He says, do you have a traditional Thanksgiving meal at your place? No, I don't. No, I don't, man. I mean, you're talking about my place, or you mean my city overall? Of course, my city does, but me as practicing Muslim myself, no. No, I do not. Or quesadillas and taco salad. Yes, I would think that the Mexican families here would probably be celebrating Thanksgiving in that particular manner. So, yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, so, okay. Going back to why I think MMA Guru lied about, why he lied about all of this, right? Let me see. Let's go back to the video that I was playing at real quick, okay? Let me show you guys this.
We're relaunching our Papa Murphy's My Slice Rewards program with a big thank you. A $1 medium one-topping.
He says, Marty says, I got my family to stop making turkey a couple of years ago. Why is that? What is the purpose behind why you don't do the turkey anymore? Let me know. I'll be right back. I'm going to continue on this why MMA Guru lied about the death threats that were coming his way. But let me know in the comment section below why you stopped making turkey. What was the reason behind it? Is there like a certain significance behind it? If so, let me know. Trying to provoke people. All right, back at it. Sorry about that. Okay, am I back? Okay, he says, yeah, I just don't like turkey. It's always dry and bland. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, right? It's kind of like, why do you have to follow, I guess, what everybody else does? Right? Like, what's the point of following what everybody else does if, you know, if you don't like it? Like, I'm sure turkey was, you know, somehow desirable, you know, in the eastern states of the United States in the early 1600s. But nowadays, it's kind of like, man, we got chicken, we got beef. Beef is heavily available if we want. If we wanted lamb, you know, we could have that too. So, yeah, man, you know, turkey is, you know, it's overrated. Really is overrated. Are turkey Muslims? Well, the great Ottoman Empire was obviously stemmed from Turkey. So there you have it, right? You know, they are, you know, somewhat of a powerful country in that regard. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. What do you guys have, Kyrie? What do you mean? In Thanksgiving, dude, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I treat Thanksgiving like it's any other day. You know what I mean? Like, I literally treat it like it's any other day. Look, I feel like my intelligence is being insulted, you know, celebrating Thanksgiving. And look, I think that the Quran and the Islamic, you know, value system, I think just really explains it, you know, plainly, right? There's nothing to celebrate other than Eid and Ramadan. You know, and how you celebrate Ramadan is by fasting, which is doing something very hard and difficult, at least in certain instances. And yeah, that is the glory that you get out of it. And that's, I mean, I don't know what to say. That's probably the reason why, you know, many Muslim fighters right now dominate, right? And I know many people are going to use the aspect of, okay, well, the Dagestanis are, you know, from the Caucasus Mountains or this and that. Yes, that's also true. But also Bilal Muhammad is a Midwestern American. And guess what? Other than John Jones, he was the last American champion. So there you have it. There's something going on right with that religion in terms of having the right discipline and keeping yourself, you know, in tip-top shape and disciplined and this, that, and the other. Because here's the thing, right? The psychology of many fighters that are going to have a fight during the holidays, during Christmas, during Thanksgiving, it's going to affect them in some kind of way. Even Kamzat, who decided to train, who decided to go out and train and fight on Ramadan, it affected him, right? But obviously our holiday is a little bit different. It's, you know, the time of depletion of food. And in turn, that's going to affect your physical performance to a certain degree. He said he asked if they're Muslims because I said Turkey is brand and yeah, I know what he means. Yeah, you know, he's doing wordplay. By the way, did you know that wordplay is a sign of autism? Just saying. Okay, you know, it is a sign of autism. So, you know, the this aspect of you know, what do you call it? I'm going to make a word play with Turkey because, you know, it's associated with a Muslim country. And then we're talking about Thanksgiving. I'm somehow going to correlate it. Yeah, that's a sign of autism, my man. Like, I'm not making fun of you or anything like that. But, you know, I mean, obviously, yeah, I don't know you from a can of paint. But guess what? We're slowly chipping away at you, you know, kind of getting a little bit of bits and pieces of information about you, right? So now we know you're autistic. We know you're very intelligent. You have very vast knowledge of the Middle East. You have very vast knowledge of Islam and Christianity and religion, and also loves MMA. The only thing is we don't know what race you are or where you come from, but we know you're American just by understanding the vernaculars that you use, right, in comparison to that of, let's say, English or Australian English. Victory says, he asks, okay, Fresh Mellinger says, are you calling me a Rain Man fool? Well, what exactly is a Rain Man? You'd have to explain to me exactly what a Rain Man is. You know what I mean? He says, technically, we don't even know if he's a man or woman. Very good point. Very good point. I'm going to go out of the limb and say, yeah, Fresh is probably a man. Right? I'm going to go out of the limb and say that. The reason why is because, I mean, you know, he hasn't given me any reason to think that he's not, right? Like, you know, every position that he takes, every single type of conversations that he has, Charlie Babbitt. What is that? Is that your real name, Charlie Babbitt? I had a buddy named, I don't know if I should, you know, mention his name. Obviously not. He's, okay, better not. He's a military guy. It's probably not something that he'd want out there, but yeah. Victory says, yeah, I think he is, but I don't think he's ever told us that. Okay, Farrah, you can tell. Look, to be honest with you, MMA is a male-dominated content, right? If you're a real girly girl, right, I don't think you would really spend your time, you know, out of your day on a chat talking about MMA with men. And if you do, and if you're a woman like that, you're probably not the type of woman that's Muslim material, or for that matter, even Christian material, right? Like you're mingling around with men talking about MMA. Like, who are you, Nina Drama? You know what I mean? Like, think about it. He says, yeah, I'm an excellent driver. Well, there you go. That explains that you are not a woman, right? So, yeah, man, let's not get us canceled here. But yeah, but you're right. You know, you never told us that, but I could just already confirm that you probably are a man, right? You know, it's just, yeah, you know, it just seems, you know, more obvious than not. So, on any regard, what else, man? What is in this card with UFC 324? Let me go grab my laptop real quick. Okay, so we know that Merab and Peter Yan are the main event for UFC 223. 323, sorry, I don't know why I said 223. That was literally 100 UFCs ago. Joshua Van taking on Alexander Pantoja. I'm liking Joshua Van on that one. I'm sorry, Fresh, but I tell you what, it's going to be excellent banter when we do react to that fight. While you are there, while Joshua Van is beating the shit out of Alexander Pantoja, that's going to be great. Merab versus Peter Yan. You know what? This fight could be a 50-50, to be quite honest with you. It could go either way between these two, right? That fight between Peter Yan and Merab could go either way. Look, you guys, even though Merab looks invincible right now, please understand he is far from invincible. He has lost before, and he has, you know, a high susceptibility to losing here, right? There's just, you know, no way around that. He can absolutely lose in this one. So, you know, make no mistake about it. He says, I have a feeling Peter might really hurt Merab with the knee on this one. Yeah, okay, I could see that. That is a, you know, a possibility. That is absolutely, yeah, that is a strong possibility. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so who else? Your boy Van will dominate like Bilal dominates. Well, what do you mean by that? Obviously, there are two different types of fighters, right? Two different styles, two different approaches. So, yeah. Yeah, two different approaches. So, yeah, explain to me how, how that is. Okay, this is an interesting one. Tatsuro Taira, right? Really hot in the flyweight division right now. So they got another flyweight fight. Brendan Moreno taking on Brendan Moreno. That's a good one. Fresh says he will cry on his ride home. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Joshua Van, is he the favorite in that one? Not that I really care about the odds or anything. I'm not a gambling degenerate, but yeah. Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot. Boy, man, that's a 50-50 matchup. I might have to go with Henry Cejudo. I think Henry Cejudo is going to outgrind him. Jan Blachowicz versus Bogan Guskov. I'm going to go with Bogdan. Let's see what this guy is about right here. Bogdan. Wow, he looks like the Uzbekis version of Anthony Smith. Wow, very interesting. Okay. I'm going to go with Jan Blachowicz on this one. I'm going to go with experience. I'm going to go with the experienced guy. This guy has fought in... Where has this guy fought at? Let's check out his domain here. Bogdan. So 33 years old. Beat Nikita Krylov. Okay, I remember that fight. Billy Elakena, 311. I remember that fight. Yes, it was a very interesting card in Inglewood, California. That was. Ryan Spann. Wow. Okay, lost to Volkan Oezdemir. All right. Yeah, I'm going with Jan. On experience alone, I'm going to go with Jan on this one. So moving on to the card, we got Grant Dawson taking on Manuel Torres in the lightweight division. Yeah, I'm going with Grant Dawson, just in a hot streak, right? I don't see him, losing that one. Terrence McKenna versus Chris Duncan. I see Chris Duncan winning that one. And then Macy Barber versus Karen Silva. She's got that one over. Nazim Sadikov. I'm going to go with Faraz Zaham on that one. Yeah, Nazim Sadikov and Faraz Zaham, very close fight, I would assume, right? Man, the lightweight division is looking right again, bro. Nazim Sadikov. Yeah, I'll go with Nazim Sadikov. Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. I'm going to go with Marvin Vettori. He says no sound. Oh, no. I purposely took off the sound on that one. I had to, deal with something. Shout out to Savachi Financial, my man. Speaking of Turkey, we were talking about Turkey earlier, and yeah, Savachi is a Turkish name, to say the least. So, shout out to you, my man. So, all right. Let's see here. On the next fight after that, yeah, Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. I'm going with Marvin Vettori on that one. Right, I think the experience factor of Marvin Vettori is going to override the record of Bruno Ferreira. Right, Bruno Ferreira is a bit of a bull-headed type of fighter. They both are bull-headed type of fighters, but I think Marvin Vettori right now has really matured into, a much more well-rounded fighter in the later part of his career. So I'm going to go with him on this one. Terrence McKinney versus Duncan. I'm going with Chris Duncan on that one. Okay, now in the early prelims, we go Edson Barbosa taking on Jalen Turner. Wow, this is a pretty good card starting from the very beginning. Look, I'm going with Jalen Turner on this one. I know he's been on a layoff for a long time, sort of was on a semi-retirement. Now he's back taking on Edson Barbosa. Edson Barbosa is a little bit older for the weight class. I always believe that the older that you get, the more that you should move up at a weight class. And guess what? Islam Makhachev is doing that right. Islam Makhachev is moving up to 170 after being a 155er for God knows how long, over 10 years, 20 years, right? Since he was 14 years old, he was, a 155er. Well, now it's time to move up a weight class because it's not good to be old in a lower weight class, and Uriah Faber will tell you that himself. Fresh Melon Juice says, tell me your name, Savachi, your name, man or woman Kyrie would like to know. No, I wouldn't, man. You know, stop making up stuff. Savachi says, turkey, turkey, no Thanksgiving. There you go. Fresh Melon Juice says, Barbosa made Khabib very tired. Dominic Cruz, yeah, right. You know, that's Dominic Cruz logic of things. Abdul Rahim says, you know everything about the UFC. Almost. I think I know more than 90% of the population in the world, maybe 95% of the population in the world, because the other 5% may know other things about the UFC. Like, for example, the backdoor business side of things, right? I may not know about those particular aspects of the UFC, how the contract negotiations are laid out. But when it comes to the fighting aspect, the kicks, the punches, the takedowns, the submissions, absolutely I know my stuff, and that is why I have a channel in the first place. He says he doesn't know that Pantoja is the best MMA fighter of all time. Listen, I'm glad that this card is happening, because for a long time you've been praising the prowess of that of Pantoja. And look, he's great, but man, Joshua Van is the new generation in the flyweight division. Although I will say, look, I always compare every flyweight to Demetrius Johnson. Like, are you as well-rounded as Demetrius Johnson? And quite frankly, a lot of these guys are not that well-rounded. Maybe Pantoja is the closest to that, but I'll tell you what I'm concerned about as a Joshua Van supporter, right, going into this fight. I'm concerned, how well does your wrestling hold up at the top level, right? We've never really seen him get tested at that. What about your submission defense? What about all of that, right? Now, if you look at the career of Joshua Van, he has 2 losses. Well, let's look at exactly what those 2 losses are within his very young MMA career. So Charles Johnson, he got knocked out by Charles Johnson. By the way, a guy who Muhammad Makayev beat up. And then he lost by rear naked choke to an unknown guy named Devin Jackson. Rear naked choke. Okay, so second round and then third round. Okay, so he was finished in both. So he knows what it's like to get finished. So there goes my suspicion right there, as as promised, right? Now, is he we wonder if his chin is going to hold up in this, right? Because he's been knocked out before, but also he's been submitted before. So we really have to understand, how dangerous this matchup is for him, even though he's looking really good lately and has really good stand-up boxing and whatnot. He says, damn, Khamzat strong, bro, LOL. Did you see the Jones video? Yeah, I saw the Jones video. Would a part of you agree that perhaps maybe there's a part of, let's say, John Jones that was holding back a little bit? He says, backdoor UFC. Khabib was tired. Yeah, Fresh Melon Juice says, yeah, Drizzy, he beat the ish out of that black fool. Oh, you're talking about, why does he have to be a black fool though, man? Fresh, what's up with all of that? What's with the racial stuff? Khabib is very tired. Okay, that's obvious reference to Dominic Cruz. Yeah, man, what's up with that? Why does he have to be a black fool? Like, why can't John Jones just be a fool, period? Right? Like, why does he have to be black, right? Like, he has to be black and then a fool, right? You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of that dude, Tyann Booth, right? He always call, like Tyann Booth, the boxer in the UK, right? He always calls O'Hara Davis the black quitter. Let me see if I can pull up a clip of this guy talking about that black quitter. The black quitter, he says. The black painter. No. Where does he say the black quitter? Right here. Where is Tyann Booth here? Oh, yeah, he quit at a fight, too. So, let's see here.
Yes. Just got back to the Travel Lodge in Dudley. Went out for a few drinks, with a few court members, came to support me in the fight tonight. Went to a strip club. Seen a bit of posse, some tits, 20 quid. Yeah, this woman was like sat on me. She was like naked and she was like wiping her ass on my fucking trousers. And she stunk in it, this Romanian slag. But yeah, it was alright, man. It was alright, but I got a few bruises, you know, from my fight. You know, I didn't have anything in the tank, man. You know, the alcohol, it fucking caught up with me. So I knew I had to make it a bit dirty, you know, try and make it a bit dirty. So I started like trying to elbow him. See my elbow there? A bit bruised.
All right, mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. All right, mic check 1 2 1 2. Perfect. There we go. All right. So, okay, let's go off of what we were just talking about there earlier, right? You said that yeah, John Jones was there to basically be playful with Kamzat because look, man, size matters, bro. Listen, is Kamzat a big guy? Yes, he is, man, but he's not as big as John Jones. You know, now is he as skilled as John Jones? Well, maybe pound for pound, but pound for pound does not equate to the reality of what it is that a person with size and skills can do to you, and that's something you really have to take into serious, considerable fact. So, yes, we are back. Yes, shout out to you, my man. So let me read some of these comments before I was gone. He says he just reminds us after that Garry shit that he is for real. John Jones is as black as Carlton, Savachi Financial says. Yeah, how about that, right? That's something a lot of people don't know about John Jones. Carlton's. Right? John Jones is sort of, well, this black Captain America character, right? And, well, he's not exactly for black, America, right? He's not a Captain America for black America. Let's just say that, right? You can look at John Jones and say, well, you know what? He's married to a white woman. If you're Dr. Umar, you would have something to say about that. But yeah, you would imagine, even though he is the pride of many black men in America, right? Considering that he is the baddest man in the world, right? And you are of that tribe, you have a lot to be proud of, right? The baddest man in the world is a black American guy. And if you are a black American guy, you can look at that as a sense of inspiration of some sort, right? Like whether you are an accountant or whether you are working in, in any type of field, you can become the John Jones of whatever field you are at. And that is primarily what sports provides for a lot of people, right? Manny Pacquiao, he's a serious sense of pride to many Filipinos, right? There are many Filipinos out there that thrive on being, let's say, the best nurses or best medical workers. A shout out to all of those that are also listening from, from those fields as well. They too want to be the Manny Pacquiao of whatever profession they are in. So yes, that is something to understand. Drizzy Goat says, F that show, how much of a monster Kamzat is. Nobody is beating him at 185. Victory says, well, he is black. Khabib is, okay, so we got that. Okay, so we are back. Yes, so we are back with these conversations on these particular matters right now. But let's not go off of, I mean, obviously, this is the conference call episode, right? So we can basically just talk about any particular subjects. But Drizzy Goat says, nah, you ain't giving Kamzat credit. He looked huge. Besides, Jones picked that up like a featherweight. Wait, you're saying I'm not giving Kamzat credit? I mean, it's hard, bro, because look, man, it's not like John went there and, had decided, hey, I'm going to pick a fight with these Chechnyan dudes in Chechnya. I mean, even in that same video that you're looking at it like, hey, there were like a few of these Chechnyan guards that were behind the scenes looking on like, hey, is Kamzat all right? You know what I mean? Like, what is this black man doing to our national hero over here? And probably John Jones started peeking that and he's like, oh, snap, I better act like Kamzat when he's sparring Ramzan Kadyrov. There's also a video of John Jones simulating elbow shots towards Ramzan Kadyrov. And then Ramzan Kadyrov says, no, brother, this is dirty fighting. And then, he said to the translator, he says, well, listen, this is MMA, not boxing. And then Ramzan Kadyrov laughed like as if he just, unlocked a new technique. So don't be surprised if you notice Ramzan Kadyrov using John Jones, Conor McGregor's shoulder strikes when he spars someone next time. He says shoulder, not elbow. Yes, you're allowed to use your shoulder as strikes, indicative of Conor McGregor and John Jones using it. In fact, it's only Conor McGregor and John Jones that I've seen use that. And I don't know why the Chechenyans would be opposed to using it. Probably it's not something that they really learn within their repertoire. But I tell you what, it is a very important repertoire to to try and master. He says it's because Conor, John, and others did it way before Conor. Yes, I agree. Yes, I know John Jones has done that way before Conor McGregor has, and yeah, we cannot ignore that, the reality of that notion. Yes, I completely agree with you on that. But if you guys are just tuning in right now, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a recap of what we talked about earlier in the stream, right? By the way, you guys have to rewind from the very beginning once the show ends, because I promise you it is some of the most epic breakdown when it comes to this Akash, Singh, and Ian Garry situation going on, right? Let me give you a little bit of some synopsis of what's going on here, right? So everybody is probably comparing Akash Singh to Ian Garry right now, right? I sort of talk about the difference between that. What is the difference between Ian Garry and Akash Singh? What type of families they come from for them to be in these types of situations, and also just the unfortunate emasculation of many men out there. And quite frankly, I don't want to get into like Andrew Tate red pill conversations. You guys already know what that is. You guys understand what it is. I think that people like Andrew Tate, Myron Gaines have sort of forefronted those particular issues. And now I think we get it now. We understand it. Yes, we understand that there are these malignant forces out there in the world, particularly in the opposite sex, that do behave in these particular matters. And it is important to be aware of them. And that's really all there is to that. So that is sort of the psychological breakdown of that. Also, I talk about Sean Strickland, right? His hatred towards Islam, and also just the aspect of his overcompensation of well, I guess manliness to a certain degree, right? It's just an over exaggerated sense of manliness. Look, I'm going to be honest with you, right? As a Muslim guy who has a lot of right wing, following, right? Guys that are, and that's natural. If you're going to be in the world of MMA, guess what? You're going to have a lot of right wing guys that are going to support you, and that's just the reality of the situation. Okay, so understand this: as a guy that has, many fans or many supporters that are like that, here's what I got to say about that. Right? Look, a lot of right wing dudes, unfortunately, virtue signal the hell out of their masculinity to the point where many of us Muslim guys don't need to do that. I'm going to give you an example, right? I don't want to mention anyone's name, but I just need you to have a visual of what I am going to describe to you, okay? I got a neighbor, right? I'm not going to say who or where or how many houses down or whatever. But let's just say he's a former, armed forces guy, okay? Living the typical American life, right? And what exactly do I mean by the typical American life? Picket fence, okay, garage, 2 cars, a family, and then, you got to have a dog and all of that. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can't have a complete family, nucleus family without a dog. That's sort of the standard in, in American, what do you call it? In American policies right now. Wait, what did we here say? He says, not Connors. Isn't Akash from Pakistan? No, he's India. He's Indian, my brother. Fresh Melon Juice says, but you are a Muslim. We have to ask Miller. He knows who you are, the real Muslims, and not. He says, yeah, I'm surprised your boy Republican Vance hasn't been here to kiss the ring. Very interesting that you said that, right? So yeah, that guy absolutely loves me, right? Republicanism Vance. Now I sort of get and understand where his love comes from. Let's analyze this. The vice president of the United States is a former Marine, right? As am I. So there's a correlation there. He's like, all right, you know what? He's like J.D. Vance, but he's an Islamist, okay? So, Kyrie Abu El-Kheer is the Islamist version of J.D. Vance. So there you have it, right? But they have a Marine connection. Okay, the other love that he has for me is because of the Charlie Kirk live stream that we did. Okay, when we did that live stream, he loved that I allowed people to say what it is that they want, whether they were for Charlie Kirk or whether they were against him or whether they were going King Von drill rapper mode and pissing on his grave and all of that, right? I allowed it all to happen. I was all cool with it. And he loved that. And guess what? As a result of that, there are many people out there that yearn for this type of entertainment. He says he likes food. Okay, good. Well, what do you mean by that? Are you talking about J.D. Vance likes food, or you do, or I do? Well, what do you mean by that? Explain. You and Vance, the same. What do you mean by that? The same. Explain exactly what you mean by that. What do you mean by we are the same, the same. I don't understand exactly what you mean by that. Um, oh, nom nom, same same is a Thai phrase. Okay, what exactly does that Thai phrase mean? Yeah, what exactly does that Thai phrase mean? Okay, so listen, going back to Republican Vance, right? Look, guys, the guy is absolutely in love with me because he yearns for people that allow free speech. You see, look, let me tell you something. If you go on MMA Guru's page, do you think that he would allow you to spew Islamist ideals? Would he allow you to do that? Would he allow you to display BLM issues? He says the race whisperer has been stumped. What do you mean? The race whisperer has been stumped. Stumped by what exactly? Elaborate on that for me, if you will, please. Oh, okay. About Thai phrases. Um, Go to Thailand 2 to 3 years and forget. You know what? I'll go into a controversial topic about that, right? It's kind of well, something my Muay Thai guys understand, right? This is not an MMA conversation or a boxing conversation. It's certainly not a gay ass jiu-jitsu conversation. This is a Muay Thai conversation, and it goes something like this. Look, guys, in all honesty, I honestly think that Muay Thai in the Western countries are way more advanced than that of Thailand. Okay, I 100%, stand on that idea. Of Thailand. I absolutely stand on that idea. By the way, no disrespect to jujitsu, it's just banter, and a lot of jujitsu guys act like that anyway. You know what I mean? They all act like that anyway. Look, Western countries are far more advanced in Muay Thai than that of Thailand. I just think that people have this mystical idea of going to Thailand that it's somehow going to magically transform them into Van Damme, just like in Kickboxer, and that's not the case. That is not the case. Victory says Matt Serra said he can't stand competition BJJ anymore because it's just a bunch of guys scissoring each other. Well, there you go, right? who better to hear that from the most manliest man himself than that of of Matt Serra. So, by the way, guys, last conversation that I'm going to have with you guys about right now, right? Let's talk about Justin Gaethje, okay? I think this is the best way to end this this live stream, right? I was sort of just trying to wait on getting 100 views for this one. I'm like at 95 right now, so hopefully we can get 5 more extra people in here so we can keep it up to 100 so I can keep the algorithm going to this page. But all right, so let's end this conversation with Justin Gaethje, okay? Maybe we'll steer off into other subjects. Maybe we won't. Look, I've been hearing that Justin Gaethje is talking about trying to retire. He says Justin is a fine young. Okay, man. Come on, man. Stop it with all this gay talk. Fresh. We don't do that in here. You know what I mean? The No Beard Mustache Association does not allow for you to have this type of language to speak of. But yeah, Justin Gaethje also visited Chechnya just like John Jones. Now look, Justin is talking about retiring. Quite frankly, I don't blame him, okay? Because right now, let me be perfectly honest, the UFC has no need for him, okay? The fact of the matter is the UFC has no need for anybody. They don't need you, okay? You think because you're the best fighter in the world that people need you? No, that's not how this works. You think that they need you because you somehow draw pay-per-view numbers? Guess what? The next guy they can find, they can draw pay-per-view numbers. And then if they really were adamant in making somebody a star and they know that they could, they will put them through the ringer of public relations, media tours, just like Paddy Pimblett. They knew they can invest in Paddy Pimblett. What did they do with Paddy Pimblett in the long run? They decided they were going to have him team up with Liverpool FC, by the way, a prominent team from his section of the world, his section of England. And they decided, we're going to market you through that and give you a position with Barstool Sports by the signing off of Dave Portnoy. So if they really wanted to promote somebody, they will do that. And you, as a fighter, are nothing more than just a number. Now, here's Justin Gaethje, okay, wins the BMF belt, okay, but then loses the BMF belt, loses to Max Holloway, but then he gets a few wins strung along and is now expecting a title shot. And guess what? Lo and behold, they decided, you know what? We're not going to give you a title shot. You want to know why? Because this game is predicated on ticket sales. You want to know why? Okay. He says the only one they ever needed was Conor. That's true. The only one that they ever needed was Conor. By the way, before I stop with this Justin Gaethje thing, I'm going to get into Conor in a second as well. Okay, so the whole Justin Gaethje thing, this is the limits of his career right now. He can't fight anybody lower than a championship level because it's beneath him, and I agree with him. But at the same time, he can't fight even higher because anyone higher is either busy with a matchup or either fighting for the title itself, which have nothing to do with him in the bracket. Okay, that's a very complicated position to be in the career of Justin Gaethje. Whereas with Paddy Pimblett, he draws numbers, he draws pay-per-views, he draws a crowd. He has that soccer hooligan crowd going on, just like with Ilia Topuria. And by the way, the type of crowd that they've been wanting to build since the days of Conor McGregor. You understand? That is what they bring to the table. These European fighters that come from Dublin, that come from Spain, and that come from England, in particular Liverpool FC or Liverpool, the soccer football club. Okay? That is what they want. Soccer hooligan culture, because if you ever watch soccer games and you look at all of the interactions that they have, all the crowd and all of this, that, and the other, my goodness, man, it is it's exciting stuff. That's what they want. Justin Gaethje doesn't have that. He doesn't have a bunch of soccer hooligans in America that follow him. Yeah, does Justin Gaethje have a few Mexican dudes that are essays from Colorado to, let's say, California that follow him. Maybe few, but then those same type of dudes are also casuals because guess what dominates the Latino community? It is none other than boxing. Okay, so Victory says it's never a good idea to give Dana an ultimatum. There you go, because you will always lose. Listen, bro, that is a good comment right there. You never give Dana an ultimatum because you will always lose. He says, lo and behold, it's predicated on a can of paint. What is that in reference to? When you're talking about a can of paint, explain what you mean by that. When you're talking about a can of paint, explain what you mean by that. Yeah, explain what you mean by that. He says Dana and Trump are the same. They'll drop you like a hot potato. Yes, that is exactly. Look, that's it right there. Right, you mean nothing to them. Okay, Brandon Schaub told you that. Hey, when I called my manager to be on speaker with UFC's matchmaker. Okay, guess what, man? This is how they treat you. I don't think you want to see this, Brendan Schaub. Okay, I'm going to end it with this, okay? I'm going to end it with this. Conor McGregor talking about how he is now rejoiced. He has now changed, okay? Let me read to you the quote from Conor McGregor, okay? Let's see here. Post there. What did Connor say here? Hold on. Let's see here. What did Connor here say? He said he finds redemption at a powerful story. Okay, let's hear this right here. Let's see what it says right here.
Conor McGregor. At one point in his career, he felt untouchable. The power, the money, the fame. And he even said this. Watch.
Oh, and how me versus Jesus and the earth? Now, I tell you what, it's not a man alive that can beat me. Jesus ain't alive, is he? So I don't fucking know. Maybe he could come back from the dead.
A lot of people wrote him off after that. A lot of people were like, God will never...
Yeah, back in the days, Conor McGregor said that he could beat Jesus, right? Which is kind of blasphemous.
Forgive him. But now he changed his ways. He went from mocking Christ publicly.
So he went from mocking Christ to now confessing
in the name of the Father.
Oh, look at this. So he was like in front of the Irish Parliament, was doing the name of the Father and of the Son to basically kind of catapult his political career.
The Holy Spirit.
Amen. I am not here just by chance.
Okay, so here we go. Now he is on the BKFC on the BKFC press conference. This is what he says.
There is a higher power, God, that dictates my journey.
Okay, he says there's a higher power that dictates journey. So basically, long story short, he took an ayahuasca and all of a sudden he says that he feels rejoiced and this and that. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's all a bunch of phony. I'm just going to be honest with you. I know a lot of people out there are saying, yeah, this is great for Conor McGregor. Oh my God, he's having a great redemption story, this, that, and the other. Look, guys, this is no different than a Charlie Sheen publicity stunt, okay? Let me just put it plainly right now. This is nothing more than a Charlie Sheen publicity stunt. And if you think otherwise, I'm sorry that you've been fooled to think that. But that is all that it is. It is nothing more than a Charlie Sheen stunt. That is it. So listen, guys. That is all that I have for this one right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one, inshallah. God bless all of you. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. We got a little bonus right here. We got a little bonus right here. You brought up something very important, Marty. You brought up something very important. So he says, hopefully, Connor really has had a revelation. I still think there's a demonic component to messing with psychedelics. That comment right there is what got me to come back. I don't even know what Fresh is talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't doing nothing. You don't know nothing. You stop being a snitch, bro. And you know what? I ain't even doing nothing. So mind your business. Anyways, Victory. He says, you're probably right. He's the master of staying in the headlines. There it is. Two things here that I want to leave off before I go, okay? Really important. What Marty just mentioned here, okay? He is the master of staying in the headlines. You understand? Okay. He is the master of staying in the headlines. This is no different. This is exactly what he's doing. He's staying in the headlines to be relevant. And can you blame him? He's losing relevancy. Everybody is becoming double champions. Ilya Tapora, Islam Makhachev, all of these guys that he's been trashing for years are now surpassing him. So now all of a sudden, he wants to get a piece of that real estate in the headlines. And how do you do that? Well, you confess to the fact that, hey, I am now, in the name of Jesus, a revived man. I'm sorry to tell you guys, every time somebody says that they are revived by Jesus, look, this is no disrespect to the Christians because I know there's real